Fuck right off out of my game, Dylan. And that's another professional start on this fucking... Okay. So I'll recap quickly, very quickly. So the last session started off with Elisham finding scratch marks all over her floor in sets of 4 that had clearly been deliberately made, and covered her entire room and some of them out the window. And so after much investigation and that sort of thing, Byron and Remy decide to go to the halls of Ivy to try and find some sort of documentation or find some information on what it might be. And they find a person called Peronilo who, after some prompting, revealed that it was pretty much all his fault that Kidius had gone missing and had let Elisham take the blame. They then found that he had let the book fall into the hands of a young girl, or a teenage girl, who then used it and has similarly been banished. So they've sort of dealt with that, and they're preparing to return to the keep in order to sort of find a safe space to use the book and try and bring the people stuck in it back. When Elisham went to sleep, and you saw some kind of weird ichor beginning to drip from the bottom of her bed, and you saw the 4 marks begin to appear on the floor. Remy threw something across the room at her, but she didn't wake up.
Remy just has rocks in his pocket. He throws rocks at her. Okay. So we're picking up from right that moment?
Right that moment.
Okay.
So the drips on the floor begin to conglomerate and grow into this sort of mass. As you watch, from within the center of it, it's sort of almost like a 3-dimensional puddle that's sort of growing outwards. This claw-like hand made of the ichor, this black and blue substance, reaches out and scratches across the floor again, making another set of 4 marks. It then pulls itself out further, an arm, and then a head, and then a torso.
Can I attempt to pull Elisham off the bed and away from this thing?
You can.
I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just grab her under the shoulders and haul her out. I don't imagine she weighs very much.
No, she doesn't. And you're like quite easily able to just kind of yank her off the bed, and she falls to the floor like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, I'll pull over to the corner and I'll call out, "Byron, Rose!"
So you guys hear this as this is happening. There's this kind of strange like sucking sound, and the creature stands up to its full height, and it's humanoid, but there's no features or anything. Byron and Rose come dashing in, and just as they're there, and they kind of see it, Arthur's like jumps awake and looks over at the strange figure. There's this like sucking, popping sound, and then the creature seems to like implode on itself for a moment, and then before your eyes, its entire form shifts to a perfect replica of Elisham. Her clothes the same, her body the same, is literally exactly the same as Elle. But you're not fooled. There's this expression on her face that Elle would never wear. It's a sickening sneer, a vile grimace that reeks of this sadistic pleasure and enjoyment at seeing kind of everyone's nervousness.
Who the fuck are you?
The creature doesn't respond. It just kind of grins at you and sneers. Arthur's kind of like looks up and sees Elle and just like dives towards her and sort of begins like cradling her head and trying to talk to her and wake her. The creature takes a step towards you, Remy.
Swords are out, ready to fuck it up.
Yeah. I was about to say, we'll roll initiative, but you can have a action before we do. So what would you like to do?
I would like to... I'm going to crate my dog real quick because he's going to start barking.
No worries.
Hold on.
No worries. So While Dylan's gone, I'll just say Arthas is, you see these kind of like tears welling up in his eyes, and he's just sort of like grabbing Elle and pleading with her to wake up, but she does not.
Okay. So Remy is going to say, take one step closer and I gut you. And I'm going to activate, I'll say, shit your gas munch, and activate the Sword of Feast and Famine.
Nice. So it flares to life, and there's this kind of burning energy that surrounds it. And the creature kind of regards you for a moment. Its head tilts to one side. And for a second, nothing happens. And then it just sort of holds out a hand, and you see this black light appear in it, and it just clenches its fist.
Can I make an attack before that goes off?
You can make an attack as it goes off, I'll say.
Yeah, I was essentially holding an action. I didn't put in that terminology.
Yes, I sort of understood. So yeah, you can go for it.
Okay. So I'm making 3 attacks. So I've got a 30. No, I'm sorry. No. A 26.
Yep.
And a 17 on my first 2 strikes.
17 misses.
Okay. And the next one is a 27.
27 hits.
Okay. So 2 strikes with the Sword of Feast and Famine. So it's going to be 2d8 plus 4d6 plus 2d4.
I'm going to say, just for ease of everyone, kind of like, for combat to move quickly, you're looking for an armor class 23, so
okay.
just tell me about attacks that beat it.
Shit.
It's pretty high. 5, 8, 11, 16, 24, 31, 38 points of damage. So Remy's gonna, with the Sword of Feast and Famine, he'll just, slice upward and then try to do like an X across fake Elishon's torso.
Nice. So you see it like cut in, and it like reveals the black ichor that's inside that proves it's not the real Elishan, but then it seals up again.
Does it look like no damage was done?
No, it looks like damage was done.
Okay.
But it was just sort of, you can tell that this thing isn't a normal physical being. You did full damage, but
awesome. Okay. Do you want me to let you know what is poison damage and what isn't? Because I don't know if that affects.
It does not. However, as it clenches its fist, this black orb surrounds it, and your sword goes out.
Oh. Not working.
Let's roll initiative.
Could you counterspell whatever just happened?
You can counterspell if you want.
So the black orb deactivated the sword? The sword is not gone?
Okay. No. Yeah, it just deactivated it.
I mean, I should have been able to counterspell. Like, I shouldn't be able to get that information before I make an effort to counterspell, but it is casting some sort of magic that I understand. And
it's an effect you've seen before, but not in this way.
Okay.
So like a dispel magic, but modified kind of?
It's an anti-magic.
Nice. Can that spell actually be counterspelled? I presume so. If I'm there.
Yeah, I think so. Like, because it's canceling it before it's cast, right?
I don't know. You might want to save your counterspells, man.
I've got a lot of spells, and if I won't be able to cast them if there's an anti-magic. Not
fair enough.
I don't know if Byron would know what's going on there. Like, do it more than just the level, like, the base level counterspell. So I'm going to make the roll, is what I was trying to get out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to check.
It says dispel magic has no effect on the sphere, but it doesn't mention counterspell. So
I think it
doesn't have
before it happens.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. Yeah,
I just wanted to check.
It's on the stack.
Exactly.
I'm just getting the counterspell.
I didn't roll.
Using my spellcasting ability. So So it is +5. Cool. I'm going to use my inspiration there. So that changed it from 5 to a 14 on dice +5 for 19.
Okay, it's a level 8 spell, so I think that does.
I think just. I
Yeah.
think it was an 18
Yeah.
DC. Because I didn't know what, and I don't think he would know in that moment necessarily like what level anti-magic, or maybe it's Byron, maybe it does, but
Yeah.
yes.
Cool.
So he makes the attempt.
No worries. So you see this thing's just like it's magic kind of just fizzles in its hand, and it turns to you, and you see it snarl, and this like weird mouth. Its mouth opens like 4 times as wide as it should, just this elongated like a witch face, and it shrieks at you. And then it like reaches out a hand towards you, and you see this black and blue ball of energy fly towards you, Byron. It doesn't look like
is it casting again, or is this
no,
a attack? Okay.
no. This is it. Like
Natural
seemingly,
ability.
yeah, it's throwing what looks to be part of itself at you. Does a 22 hit?
Considering I have, unless I had chance to put, well, no, unless I had chance to put defensive spells on getting there, but I guess he might not have. It still's going to hit.
Okay. So you take 16 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
You take 16 poison damage, and I need a Constitution saving throw. So 32 damage so far.
Fun. Luckily, I got proficiency in Constitution. That boosts it to a 17.
That's a fail, I'm afraid. So each turn for 5 turns, you're going to take an additional 5d6 poison damage, but you get to make the save every turn.
So you did, what was it, like 32?
32.
32 damage to me, and I take
another 5d6
okay.
every turn, but you get to make the save at the end of your turn as well. So I'll remind you if I remember, and C will remind me.
Is it like throbbing and, like, I don't know, trying to invade my body or something?
So it's this black ichor that sticks to you, and it kind of, I imagine it sort of burns like acid, maybe a little bit, but just for flavor because it's poison damage. And you feel like you watch your skin underneath it, this like black lattice work of chaotic energy kind of spread out, and you're not taking any chaos points, but you can see that it is like poisoning you, and I imagine it's sort of like lead poisoning, but extremely fast. And you feel like your hands begin to go numb, and you feel like slightly faint, and your brow begins to sweat and that sort of thing. Remington.
Comfortable.
Yes.
Sorry, my turn?
Yes.
Okay, so the famine side should be active, so she can't be healed. And there's no save for that as far as the description you told me.
Correct. She can't be.
And she has a point of exhaustion.
She does.
And each time I hit her...
Wait, I've just realized point of exhaustion happened before the combat, right? So she should have had disadvantage on her initiative.
No, it just... Oh, on her initiative, yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Oh, she rolled high. That's fine.
Okay. But just to clarify, because I've actually never used the famine side like consciously before, every time I hit her, she gets a point of exhaustion.
Let me have a look, because that sounds like the sort of mistake Rob would make and is going to have to deal with. While the feast side is active, or while the famine side is active. No, yeah. So it says the next target who takes damage. So that I meant that to be like you turn on the sword, and the next person who you hit after you've turned on the sword gets a point of exhaustion. So you can only have one person cursed at a time.
No, only one person cursed at a time, but she's my cursed person. Can I keep hitting her and giving her more points of exhaustion?
She can't get more points of exhaustion, but you can keep doing the damage and everything.
Okay. Sounds good.
Although, an item that does give you a point of exhaustion every time is definitely something I'm going to make for one of my monsters now.
Okay, so doing my 3 attacks.
I just realized I could have dodged that attack with no problem, but I haven't played this character in a while.
Could you?
Yeah, level 10, Illusionary Wizard, Illusionary Self, Reaction. No, I used my reaction counterspell, actually, so it is legit. I could have bypassed the entire attack. But I counterspell.
So I got a natural 20, a 19, which I know misses, and a 24.
Okay. 20 and 24 hit.
And that's with the Sword of Feast and Famine, and then my bonus action attack with the Rapier is a 24.
24. Let me have that sweet damage.
Okay. I think I need the fucking dice roller. There's too many dice. Okay. So the crit is going to be 2d8 plus 2d4 plus 4d6. And my modifiers are plus 7 on that. Roll. So that's going to be 34 points of damage on the crit.
Damn.
And then I had one more hit with Nancy and one hit with my Rapier, which I'll just roll. So the Rapier is 16 points of damage.
Okay.
And Nancy is going to hit for 2d6. 9, 13, 17, 24 points of damage.
24.
And Remy will shout back, Byron, what the fuck is this thing? That's it.
Byron is like choking, coughing. It's this symbiote and tries to invade him.
Okay, Byron, it's your go.
Is the poison damage at the end or the start of my turn?
We'll say at the end. After you make the save.
Okay. So that was like a third of my health in one go. And he knows he's going to feel it. What to do? And we're on a very precious ship of ours flying through the sky in the middle of the night.
Go on, Byron. Fireball it.
Region.
I will say technically the ship is a magical item, so...
That's a good point. Still, I don't know if, throwing massive explosions...
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not a good idea.
Usually with sky ships, it's like there's one magical part, and the rest of it is just wood.
Yeah, this is probably true, but whatevs.
Oh, you know what? You gave me... Oh, I technically wouldn't have that new spell, or would I? Was it during the downtime? When did we level?
Yeah, sure. You can, because you were supposed to get it ages ago, so I'll say you've got it.
Okay. Oh no, I just now have access, like as soon as I've had Mirage Arcane. So it's been, yeah, it was before this trip.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm going to try and cast this spell. So probably holding like his ruined arm. I imagine it like struck him in the shoulder and the arm or something like that.
Yeah, it's like I imagine it kind of looks like Frodo when he gets hit with the Morgul blade, and he's sort of just like.
He is going to. The first spell that comes to his mind on the top of his lip is this one, and he looks at the beast in the darkness, in the cabin, and goes, Huntswind, and like there's an anger in that, and he's like slumping because of the ruined shoulder, and his hand like comes up with the fingers pointed upwards, and all of these pure blue flaming chains erupt from the floor and attempt to encompass the creature. So yeah, they take a whole bunch of fire damage and strength or wisdom saving throw, caster's choice, to become grappled and restrained.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. I will go for wisdom because he's more.
Okay.
I'm more mentally anyway.
Yeah. I'm afraid to say she crit.
Okay. At the end of their turn, they would have taken more damage. Repeat the saving throw. However, I do get to do the damage as you've written this.
Yes, so you do.
Because these are
The
silly
save,
spells.
the save is just for the further effect.
I just need to find the right dice. There we go. Some of those. I'll be here a little while. 11. 24. 37. Oh, Jesus. 56.
Jesus Christ.
If you said 10d10, I've got two more. They've got this one and the next one, I think, to go.
This session is entitled Rob Feels the Pain of Power Creep.
Self-made.
Yeah, exactly. I have no one to blame.
69.
Hey.
Exactly. And 8. Yeah, 80 all told.
Jesus.
How much damage total?
80.
Nice.
That was my level 7 spell for the day.
Well spent.
Awesome.
It's one of these crazy spells.
Yeah, so you just see these blue chains wrap around, and they don't seem to burn or even scorch the hull of the ship or the deck of the ship, but they just wrap around the soul shade, and she like struggles, and you for a moment it's sort of hard because you're watching Elishan just get burned and screaming in agony, but it's not a human scream, and she like pulls the chains and they kind of fade. But not before you see just like all over her is burning black sections. I imagine she kind of looks like Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when he gets shot with all the bullets and there's sort of like parts of him slowly reforming, or her. Next is Rose.
All right. So I'm going to cast Spiritual Weapon at 4th level.
Ooh. Dope.
And roll a natural 20.
Byron, make your save. Oh, shit.
That's a good point. Oh, that's a good one. 23.
That's a success.
Do I still take the damage?
Nah.
Okay. Whew.
So do you roll dice and double them?
I think you roll double the dice, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. I mean, whatever's easiest, really, as long as it's not, triple the dice or something, because I guess that would be easier. Yeah, double the dice.
26 points of damage from that.
Nice.
And as I'm like casting that and basically commanding it to attack, I'm going to look at Arthas and be like, "You need to get up and you need to fight, or this is going to be for real." And as the second motion, I will do. Let's go. A Sacred Flame, so it needs to make a dex save.
22.
That's a success.
All right. So I imagine the flames kind of dance up around it for a second, and it just like kind of steps to the side, like, but moving kind of like this, like almost like a liquid made, humanoid. Elshan, your eyes open, and you are in a black tunnel. There is no light, but there's this weird, like, everything seems to glow, but there's no light. It's a very strange sensation. You look around for a moment, and you look down one end of the tunnel, and you see Evelyn, the Queen of Chaos, standing before you, and she just smiles and begins to walk towards you. What do you do?
Tease herself.
Is there like a tunnel behind me?
Yeah.
Ugh. Hmm. 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 Elishon is gonna try and run past Evelyn towards the light.
Okay. You run past, and she doesn't try and stop you. In fact, she gets out of the way, and you run, and it's like running into a mirror, because suddenly, if your vision kind of blurs for a second, and you're running towards her again. As though you're in some kind of like loop.
You're Ray in the cave.
A little bit.
What do you want from me?
She just chuckles and takes another step towards you. And then we'll snap away from you. Arthas is like clutching her head, and his hands are shaking, and he's just ignoring Rose and just using like all of the healing magic that he has to try and bring her back, but she's not stirring. And so that's going to be his turn. Next is the top of the round again, and it's the Soul Shade's turn. It lunges.
She beat me with advantage?
Yeah, she did.
Oh.
I mean, she's got like an insane initiative because she's insane. She lunges towards you, Remy, and slashes twice, and you see that Elishan's hands elongate into these talon-like claws.
Okay.
That is going to be a 31 to hit and a 29 to hit.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, you take from each of those. Oh shit, I did not have my dice ready because I am bad. Okay, you take 28 from the first one.
Okay.
This is slashing. And you take 31 from the second one. As she just like slashes into you, and there's this like mad grin on her face as she's cackling, and her bottom jaw is kind of lolling open. That's her turn. Remy, it's your go to retaliate.
Fuck yeah. That was pretty good. How do you like this? And yeah, 3 attacks.
Dope.
Okay. That's a crit. That's a 20, which misses. And the other one is a 27.
Very nice.
And then I got a bonus action attack, which turns into a 23.
That hits just.
Okay.
That is her armor class.
Okay. So using the die roller again, I get 2d4, 4d6, 2d8, plus 7. That's down to a science. So that's 16 plus 20, 38 on the crit.
38.
And I regain the poison damage in health.
Nice.
So that's 18 hit points back from that strike.
She's looking pretty damaged. There's like bits of her kind of sloughing off.
Okay.
Falling to the floor.
I like that sound. Or that sight. So for the crit, or for the non-crit on Nancy, it's just a D8 plus a D4. Should be 9 plus 7 is 16. Oh, no, I didn't get the poison damage in there. So 16. And then double sixes plus 12 is 28. And I regain 12.
Nice.
And then I just have my offhand attack to roll damage for.
Yeah, she's looking rough.
For a total of 13 points of damage.
13.
And that's it.
Byron. You've just seen Remy absolutely decimate this thing, and it's mostly black oozing liquid. There's very little L, like of the picture of L, left.
So I think. Oh no! So many decisions. I am going to.
Problem with being a spellcaster.
Yes. I am going to do. His hand is going to move. And like. I don't think. Oh no, it is touch. Yeah. So I slap Remy on the shoulder. And go big room. And then like fall back, like not fall over, but fall backwards away from the combat again.
As Remy erupts in
Yes.
bright blue flames.
As Remy goes Super Saiyan, as he said, because it's probably the best thing I could do right now.
Open times 20.
Yeah, so he does that and then falls back to wherever, like standing in front of Arthas and Elishan.
Yeah.
Still like holding at his shoulder.
Rose.
Spiritual weapon's gonna take a swing at it
Nice.
for a 25.
25 hits.
I just had that. Where'd it go? $17 points of damage.
17.
And I need another dex save.
23.
God damn it.
My game science, the dice always roll worse for me. I'm rolling super fucking well tonight.
Yay!
Yay. That's because I weighted them though, so that's all good.
And I'm gonna move towards Arthas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Elishan, you see Evelyn before you. Like, her body kind of contorts and twists, and she becomes this enormous, what could only be described as a chaos monster. It's this huge chittering mass of gaping mouths and wayward eyes that just are made of this blackened, kind of bluish glowing ichor that begins just crawling at you down the tunnel, threatening to swallow you.
Gonna run away from that.
Okay. You run, and it's just a straight black tunnel. There's seemingly nothing, no way out, no source of light, but you can still see, and this thing just bears down on you, looming up above you and following you, easily keeping pace. Arthas is going to continue to try and heal Elishan to no effect, and he's just going to turn to Rose and say, help me, please. And you see just there's like tears in his eyes, and he just looks wild and insane. And that's the end of the round, which means it's my favorite part of the round. Which means we'll roll for this one actually, because I don't want to vindicate anyone specifically. Oh yeah, Rose. It is going to hurl a ball of chaos at you, so I need a con save, please.
Remy counterspells.
Right?
I think this is a ranged attack.
Yes, this looks like what Byron was hit with.
16.
16 is a failure. So you take 19 bludgeoning damage, 16 poisoning damage, and you have to repeat the save on each of your turns. Okay. So, Remy, it is your go. You're burning bright and
yeah, more of the same.
furious.
I'm gonna wreck this bitch.
I did put the thing in the rules in the chat for you.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you. So, just for clarification, it's 3d6 fire damage on every attack?
Yeah, boy.
Okay. Nancy strikes. That's a hit. That's a natural 20, and that's maybe a miss. Nope, that's 26. I think 3 hits on that.
Yep.
Okay, so many dice.
I'm sorry, Dylan.
It's okay. No, I mean, I love it. So let me just, these are all set up for that again. So I'll just roll them. 2, 3. So that's not great on the crit, actually. 22, 31.
Okay.
On the crit. Actually, no, that's not even complete.
What about the
I didn't put the fire damage in there, which should be on the 66.
It's now 66. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well,
So anyway, without the fire damage, that was whatever I said, 31 points, and then I regain. Where's my poison damage? There we go, 9. And then I need to roll 66. Uh, 22 fire damage on the crit. Okay, and then on the other 2 Nancy strikes, that'll be 46, and basically essentially a crit unto itself. 2 and 2 plus 14 modifier. Roll. That's going to be 32, 40 points of damage, and I regain. And that's no fire damage included. I regain 8.
Well, that's on a normal hit that you did.
Yeah, well, that was 2 hits.
Oh, that was both the hits. Okay.
Yep, exactly. And now another 66. So 21 fire damage.
Yeah, you kill this thing like twice over.
Okay, yeah. So basically 3 strikes with Nancy. It's like a stab and then slash. I'll basically chop off fake Elishan's head.
Awesome. So you see immediately the visage of Alishan just drops, and this thing clutches its face, and it lets out this almighty, terrible scream, and kind of runs towards you, but like just bubbles down into nothing. Alishan, you are swallowed by the chaos monster, and everything goes black, and your consciousness fades. You have
Did I just kill Elishan for real?
You have no feelings, emotions. You're dead.
Well, shit.
So what would everyone like to do?
Is she?
Well, Remy will run over and say, "Is she all right?"
Yeah.
Arthas just shakes his head.
Remy's gonna put his fingers up to her neck and try to find a pulse.
You do not find one.
Rose, bring her back.
Get her back into the bed.
I pick her up, put her in the bed.
Yeah, Arthas helps.
I have options. Shit. So like I'm checking her over like for any kind of signs of life.
There are none. She's dead. You know she's dead. What do you do, Rose?
Shit. All right, I have some options, guys, but I'm gonna need some time to prepare some things. I'm gonna need.
Did I just kill her? What the hell just happened? Remy's beginning to like hyperventilate a little bit.
Yeah, Arthas is just like holding her and sobbing into her hair.
I don't know what happened. I don't have your answers. I can bring her back, but I just need a minute to think. I'll try Revivify first.
Which one is that? Sorry.
That's the one if she's. Yeah, that's the if she's dead within a minute.
Okay. As you begin to cast it, you feel like you might need something stronger. I won't take the spell slot for that, but you're gonna have to use something better.
All right, then I'll have to go raise dead.
Okay, so you see Rose kind of lean over. I imagine she sort of puts her hands on Elishan's shoulders or her face or something, and there's this glowing light. Rose, you are yanked as though there's like a hook in the top of your neck, and feels like you get pulled into Elishan's head. You you kind of rub your eyes and you sit up, and you're sitting outside, and you feel this strange breeze on you, and looking ahead, you're on some kind of dirt road, and you're not sure why, but you know that all you can do is follow it. You begin walking down the road, and you see that the path begins to split up ahead. Now, what's going to happen here is this is a death chase. You have to find Elishan and find her consciousness and bring it back by making choices. Your first choice is this. There is a path going left and a path going right. The path going left leads into this wild, unkempt forest with dark, sort of glowing luminescence about it. You see these kind of hanging vines and animals, and it looks very wild and untamed, unspoilt by man. And then you see to the other path leads up to an enormous stone castle that looms out over this cliff and hangs above the forest. Which path do you take?
Through the woods.
You move through the woods, and it's this sort of serene, kind of visceral experience, but you feel that behind the calmness of the wood there is this darkness that still lies there, like someone could be watching you from behind any tree. You then come to another break in the path. The path to the left leads down towards the coast, towards the ocean, while the path to the right leads towards a river, flowing and bubbling, quietly, calmly. The ocean, great waves crash across, smashing against cliffs. Which path do you take?
I'm gonna take a moment, center myself. River path.
River. As you walk by the river for a while, you come to another decision point, but it's not a break in the path. It's two creatures. Both are seemingly formless or don't have corporeal bodies. You see one is the soul of the predator, a great hulking creature that's not akin to any animal you've seen before, but is made to hunt and kill. And you see on the other side the spirit of prey. It's this feeble but stoic creature that sort of cowers and hides, but seems calming almost. Which do you choose, predator or prey?
Predator.
As you continue on, the predator walking behind you, it suddenly stops and fades, and you see the path splits again. It leads to two different glades. One, you hear music, bright, happy, and loud, but the other, you hear silence, deafening, focusing. Which do you choose?
Music.
Okay. And the final choice you have to make. You come to a hill. You're standing on top of this hill, and the path goes left and right once more. To the left, a bloody conflict. And warriors do battle constantly, forever. Shields splinter, swords sunder. People die, but come back to life to fight again. On the other side is a small glade, but you see bright illusions, magical energies, and glowing powers coming from it. Do you choose battle or magic?
Magic.
You walk to the glade. You pick your way through the trees, and there you see Elishan. She sits on a rock, her eyes closed. She looks serene. She has her violin, and she plays a haunting, somber tune that seems to fill you with happiness and joy. She's right there, and she looks as healthy and as happy as she has ever done. What do you do?
I'll walk up to her and say, if you were humming, it probably would have been easier to find you.
Elishan, you are in this void, this blackness. There's no sounds around you, no emotions. You are nothing. But then suddenly you can hear, and this voice speaks from a long way off. It's Rose's voice. And suddenly more sounds appear. You hear the sounds of a glade, the sounds of a bubbling river, the sounds of magic. And then suddenly you feel in your hands the soft wood and strings of your violin, and you feel yourself playing it. You begin to smell the sounds, not the sound, you begin to smell the glade around you, the light, dewy morning, and the smell of the plants around you. Then finally, you begin to open your eyes, and suddenly you're in this glade, staring into the face of Rose.
Oh, hey. I must have nodded off.
Yeah, you must have. How do you feel?
I don't know. How long have I been here?
I actually don't have an answer for that one. Do you know how you got here?
No?
See if we can find a way out. The others will be waiting.
Okay. She says, kind of bewildered.
Yeah.
It was black, and now she's here, and it doesn't look familiar.
Rose kind of puts out a hand to sort of help you up, and as soon as you touch, there's this wrenching, kind of painful feeling, and suddenly, Rose, you feel yourself being pulled back out, and you stumble away from Elishan, who sits bolt upright, breathing heavily, as though she's just come up from under water. Arthur's kind of like jumps back in surprise, and then just begins laughing and like squeezes you tight, just hugging and still crying into your shoulder.
Oh, hey, that's a little tight.
How long were they gone from our point of view?
It probably lasted about 5 minutes, but all you saw was Rose just with her hands on her eyes shut tight, and just this glowing golden light coming from her hands. and then all of a sudden they just both kind of burst back into life.
Remy will kind of go over to Rose and look at her and say, "What happened? I tried to shake you out of it, but I couldn't."
It's really difficult to explain. I was traveling on a path and I just kept moving and making decisions as the path branched. And
Is that how these things usually work?
maybe? It's really the first time I've ever tried it that way before.
Tried what?
You died.
You could have been a little bit more gentle with that information.
I was dead?
Suddenly, Arthur's reaction makes a lot more sense.
Hey, it's okay. I'm all right now.
You don't remember anything?
Uh,
I thought a goo person version of you. I thought I'd killed you. As soon as I killed it, you died.
I was asleep, I think. I was having a nightmare, I thought.
What was the dream?
I was being chased through a long black tunnel. Evelyn was there chasing me, and she turned into like this grotesque thing. And when she caught me, it went black.
You kind of look up at Byron, looking for some kind of logic to any of this.
I think Byron, like, he was some distance away, and he watched the golden glow for some time, but then he like turned from it and maybe looked out at the passing night sky outside of the cabin. When she came back, he would turn back to the situation, and Remy looks up at him, and I don't know if other people turn to face him, but he is just his face, like he is pale and suffering, but his face is grim, and he just says quietly, "I should have known better."
Better than what? What's going on? What just happened?
Whatever just happened, I should have known better.
Said Evelyn.
Whatever just happened.
Oh, whatever.
I should have.
You
Yeah, I
broke up
should
a
have
little
known better. Like he's kicking himself for us even being in this situation. Like Byron should outsmart anything in his mind, even a chaos god.
So,
Sorry, I just want to say, like, he looks to Elishan. I'm glad you're okay. And then he's just gonna like walk calmly from the room and go back to like piloting the ship or something.
Remy's gonna Byron. He's gonna follow after him. Where are you going? We gotta figure this out. Can this happen every night? Is goo person Elishan gonna come back and try to body snatch her?
We should be back in the keep before another rest. That might help.
So I'm just going to cut in here because I have an answer to that question. Elishan, you, for a moment, kind of realize that you feel a bit different, and you feel almost like lighter. I'd like you to put your chaos points to 0.
What?
Did I just kill your chaos? You're welcome.
You killed my chaos.
Grants.
Yeah, I think like after like a moment, like it kind of takes her like a moment to like shake off the disorientation, but like she'll kind of like look at her hands and stuff, and like that dark shadowy like pit that's been like in her stomach and in her chest for like God's knows how long, honestly. is gone, and so she'll kind of like look up at Rose, and if Byron and Remy are still in the room, like she'll like kind of say to them and like look up at Arthas and with like this,
Arthas can still see chaos.
Can.
Yeah. So
Okay.
he would be able to see that you have none left.
Then yeah, shoot.
And so he would just say something. He'd be like, "You're chaos," and he'd just like kind of step back, almost like as if he couldn't see properly. It's gone.
Yeah, I don't feel it anymore. I think am I cured?
He nods, hoping against hope that it's true.
I'm cured, she'll say to Rose, kind of disbelieving. And yeah, if Remy and Byron are still in the room, she'll just kind of say like the chaos is gone. I think it's gone.
It's gone.
I imagine we're around the corner, so Remy will hear that and turn around and say, "Why, for real?"
Yeah. I don't feel it anymore. It was kind of always there, it always felt like I was like just about to be
like a dump you haven't taken yet.
I was gonna say that I like felt sick, like the a cold that wasn't coming, like kind of
like it's gnawing at you.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah, I'd like you also to remove paroxysm from your sheet, please.
Alrighty then. That's one way to deal with power creep.
Indeed.
She'll kind of like take she kind of like look at her hands and as an experiment try to like kind of call that forth, and she'll say, I can't. And then she's gonna like look for that harpy part of herself. Is that still there, or is that gone too?
It's gone too.
Oh, geez.
There is no trace of any chaos in you whatsoever.
It's all gone.
Also,
well, congratulations, I guess.
Huh?
You go.
Who are you hiring?
I couldn't hear either one of you because you both spoke at the same time.
Oh, Remy says, "Congratulations! That's great."
Yeah.
I feel like we should drink.
I feel like we should. Yes, we should definitely drink. Definitely drink.
You probably should rest.
Yes.
Well, drink then rest. The idea.
You can drink for me, maybe for now.
All right. Deal.
I'm getting a drink. Arthur says, and you can tell his throat is like kind of just destroyed, and his voice sounds kind of hollow.
Hey. Okay.
Remy says, "Well, this ain't gonna help your throat, but you can have a swig." He'll pass his flask of moonshine up to Arthas.
He takes it and like takes a huge gulp, like half of it in one go, sort of thing, and coughs slightly and hands it back, and just like nods a thank you.
Good boy, Fido.
He doesn't smile.
We should probably leave you guys. If you need anything, you'll know where to find us.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
That rest coming back from the dead can really take it out of you.
Well, just for good measure, I'll give you guys the room, but I'll be outside the door if you need anything.
Okay. She's still kind of like shock and bewilderment. Like she went to sleep, had a bad dream, and now everything's different.
Yeah.
And so
that's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Arthas like would be refusing to go anywhere except like lying there or sitting there just kind of staring at you, like he can't bring himself to take an eye off you.
I'm okay.
He just nods very slightly. You can tell he's sort of just stunned and overwhelmed by everything. Doesn't really know how to cope.
He's not the only one. But yeah, she's like really won't have any words that she can like say to him. Like, you know, you can like, hey, it's all right, I'm okay. You can only say that like so many times, but like still it kind of, she was dead.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was dead. And
yeah,
so
it's very hard to quantify, you know, your feelings and that sort of thing at this point.
Yeah, so I think like she'll just kind of you know, place her hands in his and kind of just give them like a tight squeeze and just kind of like, see, I'm right here.
And you do see him smile slightly at that. Let's get some rest. He just says and like rubs his temples, and you can tell that there's no way he's getting to sleep. But
yeah, but she'll curl up next to him and try to fall asleep herself. But I think like her brain is probably going like 1,000 miles a minute.
Yeah.
Itself.
So as everyone tries to sleep or tries to stay awake and does stay awake, I think we'll take a quick break because I need to grab myself a drink. If everyone's cool with that.
Cool. Sure.
I mean, I was joking about you kidding me, Rob. You didn't have to really do it.
Don't poke the DM.
Lesson learned.
Oh. I'm very pleased with how that all went.
Good. Should be.
I had so for the death chase, I came up with the idea the other day, or last week, because C had said like, oh, Q, like when they were talking about someone dying, it's like, oh, Q, Matt Mercer, raised dead thing, and I was like, no, I'm not Matt Mercer. I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to make it sort of personal. So I was like, if you have to make choices based on where you think the character was, and Jade did really well. She got all but one right, and you had to get 3 for it to be successful.
Can I ask which one was the wrong one?
Yeah, the wrong one was predator or prey.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I feel mildly smug. I
have them worked out for all of you as well.
Sure.
What was that?
So for the death chase, basically it's your fault that it happened because you mentioned, like you said, cue the Matt Mercer raised dead scene or whatever. I was like, no, I'm not doing Matt Mercer's thing because I'm not Matt Mercer and I'm my own person. So then I came up with that, which actually was, like, I came up with it based on Pottermore, like, because that's what you do to figure out what house you're in or something. It was like something like that where you make choices, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I wanted to make it personal and fit with the character. And so Jade got all but one right. The one she got wrong was predator or prey. She said predator, but
yeah, I was like, yeah, totally. Elishan's totally prey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was forest or castle. She's forest because Arthas and because she grew up in castles and that sort of thing and kind of rejects that side of herself. Ocean or river was like, is she a tempestuous person or a calm person? Or like not necessarily a calm person, but like a kind of serene. Like it's basically about, is she angry or not? A lot of the times it was not. Predator or prey is she predator or prey? Music or silence?
That was a gimme.
Yeah, I thought that one and then the forest one were pretty much.
Yeah, but the music or silence one was, it wasn't just about the fact that she played music. It was also about, like, is she someone who would, you know, spend time by themselves and Is she an introvert or an extrovert sort of thing? Does she like the music scene or the silence? Like, you know, and you know, that's kind of a clue.
If we ever do anybody else.
Yeah, and I mean, I might change it, change up the choices and stuff, but they'll have the same kind of concepts. And then Battle of Magic was pretty obvious. I thought, you know, how magically inclined is she? Yeah, you got all but one right, Jade. Predator or prey, you got wrong.
That was the one that was the hardest decision.
Yeah.
Alishan is defo prey.
But she's also been trained and raised to like
fuck people up.
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
and fighting that nature and accepting that nature.
Yeah, but I was really pleased with just how it sort of turned out. I think it felt quite, and I deliberately left myself actually no descriptions of anything. Like my descriptions are forest or castle, ocean or river, predator or prey, that sort of thing. Like it's not, you know, the descriptions were all on the fly because I knew that I'd just do a better job if I did that, and I think it was pretty good.
I did very much enjoy it and enjoyed you thinking outside the box. I think there might be one thing, you know, in Mount Mercer stuff where other people can help.
That was
I wonder if
originally
you could like give some decisions to other people. You know, if we all get sucked in.
That was originally going to be the plan, was to have Rose going through it, but have because my original idea was like if she gets stuck or if she gets one wrong, then
use the lifeline.
Well, basically, like one of you would kind of appear, or she'd hear your voice, and I'd be like, "What do you say to change your mind?"
Okay,
and
that's
I was
cool.
gonna do that, but then I just didn't. And then afterwards, I was like, "Fuck's sake, bro, why didn't you do that?" Because I was like,
the only problem I could see with that, it would be nice to be involved for sure, but it was also fun to watch. But the problem with getting everybody involved is that it would have actually slowed everything down.
That's true.
There were more people's opinions involved.
Yeah. But
what I was thinking was that each person takes one decision and is their decision alone to make. So there isn't actually a slowdown. There's just how other people feel about her, and everyone.
That was definitely another thing I was considering. But the problem with that is I wanted it to feel like a journey, or like a chase, where you're following Elishan's footsteps through all these choices.
Sure.
And so if like multiple people did the choices, to me it would have felt like a lateral thing rather than like going forward.
Well, almost like it could be. I was thinking either
like you
everyone
go
goes and then one person steps forward, or like it's a baton race where like someone does one bit and the next person does the next stage of their life or something.
So I think for me, my favorite idea about it was having like Rose go through it, and then maybe like every choice, I'm like, okay, do you choose forest or castle? And then you hear Byron's voice. Byron, what do you say? Sort of thing. And then, you would just go like, Elishan hates castles. And it's like, okay, then, whereas like, it's more like you're influencing her. But Rose
Possibly. I think it's something to work on, but I really did like the concept.
Yeah, I did too.
I was when I came up with it, I was very proud of myself. So
as like a little bit, since this am I suffering from resurrection sickness as per the raised dead spell? Yeah.
Only
probably.
Because you have a war coming soon. Yeah.
I've got a few days.
Yeah, you've got a few days, so yeah, I'll say yeah.
-4 right now to all saving throws. It's like all rolls, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And skill checks.
It's bad. But you feel great though, like no chaos.
I mean, yeah, I don't have any chaos, so I mean that's good. I mean, it does kind of change a lot of my battle plans, but yeah, it's good. It's good not being a harpy no more. It's good being chaos free. Someone should tell Byron that I'm chaos free and harpy free.
I was gonna ask.
Make him happy.
A scene with Rose, possibly that night.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Because Byron's pretty fucked up right now.
So I don't know if Rose can't sleep or if he's wandering around a little. And
I feel like none of you can sleep.
Sure.
Yeah, she's definitely on the deck of the ship, waiting for the sunrise.
because I didn't get to say it before, and I want it to be recorded, is that I let Milton take the wheel. And he moves down to the deck. And I think there's like silence as they watch the world passing by during the night from an angle that no one ever gets to see. All the tiny little lights sparkling as they cross Viros or something similar. You said that was your first time.
My first time doing a raised dead. Yeah.
So you glow. Elishan glow. I felt the presence of your lord in the room. The Dawn Father?
Yeah, he was definitely guiding me there.
You said there was a journey. You traveled to a different plane?
It's kind of hard to explain the beginning parts, like how I got there. Like, I don't know, have you ever been like, had someone grab the back of your collar and stand you up quickly? Probably not. But it kind of felt like that. And then I was just walking this path. And I had to, it would occasionally split off to the right or to the left. And I would just make a choice. Hoping I'd find Elishan, I guess. It worked, though.
It did. And he kind of like looks out across the night. I've not seen something like that before. I've read some accounts of people being brought back. People that are too important to lose. And he kind of like looks away. People that can afford it.
I didn't even think about that. I just did it.
I'm just saying we're lucky to have you. We're lucky to have someone who can do whatever it is you just did in that room. I've not spent a long time with those of the divine. It makes you think on the world.
Thank you. Are we going to talk about the fact that we were convinced that that was hideous and she said it was Evelyn?
I'd been thinking that was a form of chaos, weaponized against the ones she loved. I don't know of many, if any, that were as touched as she was. But imagine if each and every Olfanger harboring chaos, something crept out of them at night. While I was there watching you glow and bring her back, I rued my decision not to give her all the cure that we had, to spread it around, to follow the method. And he, for once, sounds like he's not entirely confident in his methods. Gathering samples and information and to fight whatever this is. But now
Well-
out here in the air, I don't
She's-
know.
She's free of the chaos now. Whatever happened.
He kind of like rubs at his shoulder. I think I felt it. That beast was her, but also chaos. It burnt.
That it did.
I'm worried if that's a gift that Evelyn possesses, if she could pull many more of those things into the world. This war is just a distraction. We need to try and cure the old fanger to begin with, but what if there's more out there? What if there is those worse corrupted? Gaiad, for instance.
I appreciate you thinking ahead, but you might be borrowing trouble. It's smart to plan and be prepared, but we can't dwell on it. That makes sense. We'll get caught up in the what ifs and be too paralyzed by too many decisions to make that we won't be able to actually make a decision or a choice when we need to. That's dangerous.
Byron thinks, and he's like looking towards you, but not like directly at you. And there's just like, you could hear the cogs turning, like the processes, like the 100 thoughts a minute or whatever that is going constantly in his head as he's trying to plan every eventuality.
One problem at a time, my friend.
He looks down at you, and there's a smile on his pale complexion. Life rarely gives us that luxury, especially the life that we have come to lead. War and then the cure?
War and then the cure.
He puts a hand on your shoulder and smiles warmly. More emotion that you might have seen him, often display, certainly.
Rose will return the smile. Shouldn't you be piloting this thing?
He kind of like looks up and there's Milton maybe like struggling with the wheel. I think I've probably given it enough time alone. You're right. And he kind of like dusts his palms off or something like that, wrings his hands a little bit and walks back up to the wheel.
Rose and Byron get the fattest inspiration.
Yay!
So, is there any other scenes that anyone would like to do while we're on the ship, or would we like to move on?
Remy drinks until he falls asleep.
Dope.
Dope, done. Moving on.
Inspiration. Corinne, anything you'd like to do?
No, this like Elishan would just kind of like lay there with Arthas for like what probably like feels like hours, where like they're like not really talking to each other and just kind of like listening to each other's heartbeats and breathing and what have you. And as her wont, after like minutes and miles of silence, she'll just kind of say, "I love you,"
And his face kind of splits into a wide grin. Love you too.
Now let's go to sleep.
He nods, but he doesn't sleep.
Yeah, neither does she.
Yeah. All right. So as the grey fly drifts on, dawn comes and heralds their arrival back to the keep. You find the place bustling and busy. Frakalt is just churning out weapons and armor, like he's being paid to do it, and he is. And everyone is action stations. They can tell that the calm before the storm is kind of coming to an end. What would you like to do?
Probably find what's this Bazrag,
Yeah.
and see how things are going along. So Remy will kind of like march off purposefully,
Yeah.
to find Bazrag as he's doing his thing.
So you actually find him in Hollister Craig's office.
Is Craig in there with him?
He is.
Okay.
And you find, that Bazrag doesn't really like him. Bazrag's a very pragmatic, honorable man. He's a bit of a gentleman, and Hollister just rubs him up the wrong way. But they're both leaning on a table, and it's got maps and ledgers spread all over it, and they're having kind of a heated debate about how they're going to protect the civilians. And both of them look fairly unwashed and like they haven't slept in a while. And there's just paper everywhere. Clearly they've been at this for days, planning every tiny aspect of the war preparations. And they sort of both look up as you enter.
Down, you mean?
They both look up and then down. And Craig just says, good to see you, sir. And Bazrag just gives you a sort of nod.
Yeah, good to be back. Sorry?
Hollister just asks you, how was your trip?
Weird. What are you guys doing here?
We're just trying to sort out things as best we can. Get this place safe, Bazrag says.
Well,
Remy will take a stool and like drag it over to the table and like pull himself up onto it, sit down.
show me what you got. Bring it to speed.
And so he starts kind of detailing everything. And the key kind of piece of the plan is they are trying to figure out a way of getting people into the like dungeon in the basement and then out of the keep if need be. Like if things go bad, sort of a way to evacuate people. And they're thinking about having people like dig a tunnel out of it. And so
Well, seems like a big enterprise. What about we got a couple powerful wizards here. Why don't we ask them for some help, huh?
Well, that's what we were hoping.
Remy says,
Byron!
shouts to wherever Byron is. You just hear it echoing out through the center of the keep.
Yeah. Byron might be, I don't know, mooring up the ship or something, or like has been waylaid in the courtyard and hears the echo of it. I'm being called to whoever he's talking to, and then he moves on.
Yeah, I imagine it's just like one of the guards who's giving you a sort of report on everything that's been happening, and he sort of nods and dashes off. And so you come to find this curious trio in Craig's office under the stairs. And they sort of fill you in on their plan.
You think there's a way to... how many people are we talking about?
A few hundred.
A lot of people to teleport. You think we can do it? What about the portal in the cellar? I know that goes into like a chaos dungeon or something, but...
Bazrag sort of frowns at that.
Did we get the key and then spend the time to lock it from the other side, but we still have the ability to use it potentially?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, we cleared out that dungeon, so it should be empty, hypothetically.
Basically, you made sure that no one could open it from the other side.
Yeah.
But you can still open it from your side.
Could we redirect the... This is me asking as a player, because I'm not there in the scene, but can we redirect?
Can you redirect These ancient dwarven portals.
Maybe.
How good is your arcana?
Chaos.
Okay, I guess not.
Yeah, they're sort of designed to go between two areas very specifically. Like each one is a pair and they're a set, so it doesn't really work like that. So
I know that Rose was working on something in the caves rather than the dungeon or the basement. He would say basement. He doesn't know the term dungeon. There might be a way out through that if they.
In the middle of your
Isn't
sentence, Remy
necessarily.
goes, Rose!
Yeah.
I've been summoned. And I'll make my way out.
yeah, and Crean's on your heel now. Like as soon as you get back, he's just following you around everywhere again.
Ah, hi, little buddy.
He just like nods at you importantly.
Ah, shit heel. Yeah, Rose. So, Byron, you had a question for Rose?
He kind of like looks across to you. I believe you mentioned something to me about using the caves to shelter our people, maybe find their escape into the countryside.
Yeah, I think it'd be wise to have a backup plan. And relatively few people know about them, correct? Just
I would believe so.
Have we scoured those tunnels out all the way to the end? We know where they lead?
Not so. We could ask the Corrids, or we have some time to scout them ourselves.
Well, that was my next question. How long do we have before Guy heads out the gates?
About 3.5 days, 4 days.
That may not be enough time to scout the tunnels. We don't know. We ourselves, I don't think, should leave the keep again. But maybe a smaller team of, Vela, Arthas, I don't know. Other folks we trust.
I don't think we're getting Arthas away from Elishon.
There's Arden as well.
Arden too.
He could lead the mission.
Maybe we get some of the Corids and a couple of our people and find a way out.
I kind of look to Bazrag and God, what the
Hollister.
Hollister. I'm kind of saying,
What do you think?
Hollister nods. I think it's a good plan. I'll begin preparations. And he just like bows and begins to leave in search of Arden.
Gotta love that guy. Always on top of things.
Very efficient.
I have to admit it, he is very good. And Bazrak just like pinches the bridge of his nose after having spent like 4 days with him.
You look like you could use a break. Why don't you,
what time of day is it right now? Is it morning?
Yeah.
you think you could use the afternoon to get your senses back?
Might be an idea. I haven't really rested much. And his voice is all like hoarse.
We can take over for a few hours.
Thank you, says. And he just sort of like turns and kind of makes his way out, the fatigue beginning to catch up with him, and he sort of stumbles.
Remy's going to look up to Rose and Byron and say,
Well, I know I said I was going to do stuff, but I'm actually going to go check on my garden.
he just walks out.
Are they in the library, I presume, or somewhere else? Or in that office by the front door?
Yeah, they're in
Hollister's
Creed's
office.
Right.
Hollister's office is right across from the library.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I imagine it's sort of under the stairs that lead up to all your individual flats.
Byron left in the room with Rose. Looks across to her, like looks at all of the, like speed reads most of the documents on the desk or something. Well,
Yeah. So yeah, you can see there's pretty extensive plans being made for various eventualities. It looks like Hollister and Bazrag are pretty on top of the defense. You know, they've got plans for where all the archers are going to be positioned and that kind of thing. How they're going to bolster the gate and all that, this sort of thing. That there's kind of everything seems to be taken care of. It seems.
So I presume there are still no giants.
Yeah. So you still have not seen any giants, and there's none kind of around. It seems. So yeah, no giants.
So he like looks through all of the plans and looks at when we came in, there were the giants. Perhaps you could get in contact with them. The giants, I mean.
I mean, yeah, I can send him a message and see how long they'll be until they're here. They said they were on their way.
No. He kind of like just looks around.
So are you sending a message to Coffee then?
Yeah, I'll send a message asking.
Okay. Yeah. He replies pretty much immediately, and it just says, well, depending on what you ask. Actually, I just realized that.
I would just ask how long until they arrived.
And you just get the message back immediately. Half a day.
They should be here half a day, probably this evening sometime. Tomorrow morning at the latest.
Excellent.
We should prepare for their arrival.
We should. I don't know. Are we expecting the whole herd that we witnessed previous? We're going to have to try and give them hospitality. Perhaps someone should tell Helga.
Yeah, I'll go let her know. But maybe he's just gonna bring like a group of them to fight. Wouldn't bring all the women, the children, and their herds. Run the risk of exposing them to an army. That's what I would do if I were in his place.
True. Well, we do not ask them to risk what they cannot risk. Should not risk. Any help that they can render would be extremely valuable.
Just at this point, you hear a voice kind of ring out in the sort of entrance hall to the sort of living area, your castle, and it's Kiryonti, and you just hear him say, "Hello, is anyone there?"
Does Remy hear him?
Yeah.
Go away.
I was gonna say, I think Elishan was like waiting in the library for Byron and.
So you'd hear it very clearly as well then.
But yeah, like Elishan would come out.
Yeah. And you see Kiryonti kind of standing there, and he's got a bit of a grin on his face. And he says, Madame Elishan, it is good to see you. I'm here because my friends have arrived.
Your friends have arrived?
Yes.
Oh.
The ones I told you about.
That's good. I'll go get the others.
Thank you. And he sort of just waits patiently. And yeah, so I imagine Elishan kind of rounds you all up. Does Remy come?
He was AFK for just a moment. Now you can ask him once he gets his head.
Does Remy come?
To see Kiryonti?
Yeah.
And his friends.
His friend.
I can hear multiple people, then yes, I will go check out the new people.
You've heard Kiryonti tell Elishan that his friends have arrived.
Yeah, Remy will go and like. I assume he's walking down some stairs and like sees
Yeah.
them at the bottom of the stairs. Once he sees them, he'll just kind of lean up against the wall and like
Yeah, so
eat
actually,
like a raw potato or something.
yeah,
you know,
actually,
and
it's just
share.
Kilianti at the moment.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, still, if he thinks there's people down there, he's going down there to check them out.
Cool. Yeah. So Kilianti sort of leads everyone out into the courtyard, and the first thing you see is a cart, a horse and cart, and the horse is this beautiful kind of piebald like horse that looks quite stout, and it's got I don't know what they're called, but it's got this sort of like flares around its ankles and a very long mane. And you see this cart has a sort of canvas roof over it, and looks to be just full of herbs and medicines and salves, and it just looks like stocked to the gills almost. You see two people who are kind of around it. One of them is very tall. She is maybe 6'6", I think it is, something like that. And she's got this kind of brilliant blue skin, and she wears these very light, loose-fitting clothes, but she's got these big, thick boots on. You see this huge sword strapped to her back, and she looks, she's got this weird hair that sort of seems to float and move even though there's no breeze. I imagine C could probably do a screen share right now of a picture of her. And then you see another individual as well. He's much shorter, and he has this sort of longish hair that's kind of tied back into a knot at the top of his head. And he's wearing sort of leather armor that's kind of got these green, like, kind of bits of fabric attached to it. There's a rapier on his hip, and he looks kind of his face is sort of like got a bit of a scruff going on. Looks like he's been traveling for a while. He's really thin, quite short. He's a human, and you see when he sort of looks out towards you, you see one of his eyes is completely black. There is no pupil or iris; is all just black, and the light kind of, it seems to almost like absorb light slightly, and it's like this weird almost hole in his face. And he sort of holds up a hand in greeting as you approach. And Kirianti just sort of stops before you and says, let me introduce you. This is Erd, and he points to the guy, and Gale. And this is Byron, Remy, Rose, and Elishan. And he sort of like points individually, and the man named Aod sort of holds up a hand.
Can you
Pleased to
spell
meet
that
you.
name, please?
Yes, I can. And he says, pleased to meet you. And the kind of taller woman just nods slightly.
Pleasure. Thanks for coming. Welcome to the Keep on the Edge of Death, or whatever we call it.
And he sort of chuckles at that slightly and says, well, I've heard different names, but as good as any, I suppose.
Yeah.
We are, and he sort of like looks over to Gale and just says, we're here to help. We know the situation. Kirianti told us everything. We'll do what we can. And he's sort of like looking around, like he's clearly unsure of what to say in this sort of situation. And kind of sends a look towards Gale, but and she sort of comes to stand like at his shoulder. He says, we'll help heal people. We'll fight whatever you need. And she kind of nods firmly.
Remy's gonna walk over to the cart and say,
So, what do you got in there?
they start going through stuff, opening things up, looking inside.
Yeah. Mostly you find like healing things. He has things like
He's an amateur herbalist, so he's just curious.
yeah, you sort of know. So there is like lots of things such as silroot and all these different basically herbal remedies for various like ailments. There's things to cure, prevent pain. There's things to prevent infection. There's bandages. It looks like a sort of medical medical cart. There's in our Facebook chat. There's a picture of Ayad as well.
I'll turn it over to Aya and say,
This is quite a stock up you got here. This is a silver root. That's good stuff.
He just nods. I'm a bit of an herb.
Gale is a male?
Gale is a female.
Female, okay.
Yeah.
This stuff belongs to Aod.
Yeah. Well, it belongs to them both.
Oh, okay. So it's a joint venture.
Yeah. I mean, they're married, which you do know.
Oh, okay.
And so he says, look, I haven't really ever done something like this before, but whatever you people need, we just want to help. And Kiyonti sort of has this bright smile that's like, I knew these people were great sort of thing on his face.
The healing will come in handy. I appreciate your offer to help. And
he just nods at that, like, grimly.
He's not threatening to kill you, so that's a good thing, I think.
Oh, me?
I'll say gesture, yeah.
Like Elishan has been like trying to be quiet for like the last several minutes, but she just kind of like bursts out loudly, like, "What's wrong with your eye?"
Remy looks at her like, Jesus.
Yeah, you see, the first thing you see is like Aod begins to open his mouth, and he doesn't look that perturbed. But Gale like folds her arms and just glowers at Elishan.
You're very tall and
Remy just starts bursts out laughing.
And Gale just says, he's very brave. He was cursed, but we fought it off. And she sort of like is just kind of dead eye staring Elishan a little bit.
Is that a common affliction? I mean, I was cursed and I fought it off. She was cursed and she fought it off. Jesus, man.
This was an unfortunate incident. It was a malediction designed to cause me intense pain, which it did for a while, but
you got better?
Yeah. He nods and like puts a kind of staying hand on Gale's shoulder, and she relaxes slightly.
Well, we're lucky to have a man of your and woman of your skill about.
I would say this is not how we normally greet guests, but I'm not entirely sure that would be correct.
Oh, Rose.
And he has a big grin at that and sort of says, we don't have a great track record ourselves.
So Remy is still digging into the cart. He's looking for anything that he can use for psychoactive or functions, fun stuff.
Yeah, there's very little.
Painkiller type stuff.
Yeah, the only thing you'd find is like the sort of medical or the fancy equivalent of like Percocet or something, which is just like a super strong painkiller that'll knock you out a little bit. And
okay, if I can find like 1/20th of it, like in a jar.
Yeah, you can definitely find a bit that would, it would like, you take it and you just have a bath and it would be super relaxing. You can find that sort of thing, but
with your permission,
I'll look to Gale.
With your permission, I'm gonna take this,
and I'm gonna take out like 100 gold pieces. I have no idea how much it's worth. I'm just gonna grab like all the cash I have and hand it to her.
She just holds up a hand and like shakes her head. It's fine, take it. And Ed sort of like turns and is about to like complain, but then she puts a hand on his shoulder and he closes his mouth.
Don't worry, man, we're gonna have a party tonight.
I'm gonna go upstairs.
You do actually, roll me a perception check.
Sure. Pretty good things. Ooh, that's a natural 20. 25.
So, one thing you would always expect on the road is alcohol. Not just for enjoyment, but, it's an incredible disinfectant and very useful in medicine, but there is absolutely none on the cart at all. And, to the point where you sort of, realize and you're like, oh, that is weird. You would expect to see some.
So before he gets out of the
just for
cart,
cleaning cuts.
yeah, before he gets out of the cart, be like,
So, what, you guys teetotaler or something? Did you work in the program?
Aod's jaw goes very rigid, and he sort of gives a sideways glance to Gale, and she sort of, you can tell she tries to sort of think on her feet, which is maybe not the fastest thinker, and she just says, yes, we have done.
Fair enough.
keep walking.
And Aod's cheeks are just flaring up bright red, and he's sort of avoiding everyone's eye.
Byron has just been watching everything, trying to
I feel like
spy.
you say that phrase so much. That's the most insane reaction.
He's usually waiting for everything to settle, and then we'll try to
In
make
this
sense.
game, at least, yeah, Byron's more reactive than I'm usually quite a proactive player, but I basically wait for everything to go while he just analyzes everything, and then Byron steps up between them both, or in front of them both, and goes, "Welcome to Frosthaven. A strange
Thank you.
company that we keep. Those that will head towards war rather than away from it."
They sort of look at each other for a moment, as if kind of contemplating that. And Aod just looks up. His cheeks are still red, but he meets your eye and he says, I think we owe the world a little bit.
Byron quirks an eyebrow. Very well. We're in the business of saving the world. And if you owe the world, consider this place home. He beckons with an arm towards the inn. That is a blissful mistress. Helga deals with hospitalities, and I'm sure she can find you a place to keep your cart and your things.
We may be able to offer them space in the village. There's another inn down there that may have rooms.
There is. And it says, yeah, somewhere, maybe down in the village would be better. That way we can set up shop and people can come and we can help them. And you would know that it's common fare for traveling, healers and herbalists to sort of set up in a tavern and have everyone in the village sort of come to them with their ailments, sort of thing. So that's probably what he's kind of expecting.
Okay, Byron was more thinking we could keep 2 people up in this fort, because if everyone's having to retreat to it after a fight anyway, it might not be worth them setting up. But
that's what he's thinking, but you say what you say, man.
Sure. Very well. Be where you wish to be. Just know that we're looking to pull everyone back into here when the time comes.
Do we have space in the locks for them?
I figured we could find space for 2 people.
Yeah, I don't think that's very difficult. You probably manage that fairly comfortably, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many guest houses or the like will really have down in the village either. But
there's not really any. I mean, it's 2 people,
yeah.
I don't think they
got
need
their
much.
own cart.
Yeah, they do. Their cart is there are bedrolls in it that they have they've figured out a way to sleep inside it as well. So they can just stay in there if they need to.
We wouldn't ask that of them. That would be rude.
I mean, it's you people.
What's that supposed to mean?
I mean, Remy just literally walked off with the guy's herbs.
That's Remy.
Just a little bit.
So, yeah, I mean, you were welcome to stay here. We can find you space in the common quarters within the walls. Or we can see what we have available down in the village. Either way, you'll have access to the people. We could set up in either common room. Set up in the temple if you wish.
He just nods, kind of gratefully, and just says, "Thank you. If I hate to be a burden, if there is some way, somewhere for us to stay where we are, away from others, that would be helpful." Gail is sort of like flashes a look at her.
Is she not well?
And he sort of like stumbles, and she just says, "I'm pregnant."
Oh. Well,
And you're
that changes.
fight?
And Aod sort of like stumbles again. We found out when we were almost here.
Well, I believe congratulations are in order then?
Thank you. And he kind of blushes, and she goes a little bit purple.
So we'll get you settled then, quickly.
He nods.
We may have a little space. He's mostly saying this towards Rose. We may have a little space at the top of the keep. Thinking of Arden's floor.
Yeah, Arden probably spends most of his time like out. He barely uses the keep.
We definitely can offer them quarters there.
Maybe weird question to ask. Can I perceive how far along she is, and if this is going to coincide with the war?
You can.
Okay.
You can make medicine
Check for
roll.
pregnancy. Perception or insight?
I feel like medicine is probably
Medicine. Cool.
more.
That is 19.
She's not very far along.
Okay.
Help me out. See how far along is she? Like a couple weeks? 9 weeks, but maybe further
Is
along.
she starting to show, or is she just like Mr. Period?
Yeah, she's starting to show a bit.
A couple
Maybe
months, right?
maybe slightly more than you'd expect for someone of that time.
Okay. I was thinking like setting them up in the keep, she was heavily pregnant, so we don't have to move her, but if she's not so far along, then
Yeah.
it won't be such an issue.
Plus, she looks, strong as fuck.
Sure. I wasn't commenting.
No, I
on
know.
strengths.
I'm just kind of bringing that up. I have my my thing set to low bandwidth, so I can't see any video pictures. I don't know if C's shown you the picture of her.
In the keep chat.
Oh, nice. It's worth having a look at that, so you know what you're looking at.
Okay.
Yes. So, I imagine you guys sort of like put them up in the keep then. That's
Yeah.
probably the best solution. And Ed just sort of like sorts out the cart and has it set up so that he can sort of sit at the edge of it and have people kind of come and seek his aid, I guess. And so they just kind of begin, and you see there's like a fairly steady stream of people, from like broken arms and bloodied lips to, diseases and everything, just people, once they hear there's a healer in town, sort of begin kind of coming quite, steadily.
I feel that's doing a disservice to Rose, but okay.
Right?
I mean,
There's a healer in town. Let's all go.
but I mean, like Rose can cure your wounds. He can like fix your symptoms, is the way I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also the economics of herbalism are way different than the economics of magic.
I know, but
Yeah. But you see that wherever Ed goes and whatever he does, Gale is always like right behind him, like a bodyguard almost. And so the days kind of pass on a little while.
I'd just like to say that, more illusions, etc., etc.
Definitely.
And then I'm going to use that Mirage Arcane, like in the days before,
So,
the day or two before.
are you doing anything with the book?
Yes, I was going to hope
We
that
should-
we would have a conversation about the book. Are we putting it? I know that well, what happened with me might not have been related to the book necessarily, but there's still
I
whatever
don't
happened
see any
with
connection between your
yeah,
chaos
it's
reflection
like
in the book.
right, exactly. But it did it did take a child, and there's Kitty is still like while my
Well-
affliction was led to us discovering or rediscovering the book, it
We still
Was-
promised to help that girl.
right.
We should do that.
Are we
Yes,
waiting?
you yourself, Remy, said we shouldn't go anywhere, and we are on
Oh
the
no,
eve
not
of
right
war.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna have to wait.
So
I-
you
we
plan
are
to do it
waiting
after the war then?
If we were to go missing either entirely or in part, it could have drastic effects on the success of our
We could make
coming siege.
Heron do research while we're all doing other things. We could over the next couple of days. We could say that he is.
I don't trust him with the book.
Oh, well, that's fair.
He made it disappear once. He might make it disappear again.
That's your call.
So
Remy's going to be doing stuff mostly in his garden and on his little herbalist setup. He's mostly going to try to distill the painkiller he got, and he's going to try to basically just dilute it down and work it into batches of different alcoholic brews. See what he gets. He'll brew some pipe weed and do a boil with that, and he's just trying to make super drugs.
yeah. And
He's trying to make some blue
Ed-
crystal.
Sort
Something.
of, I imagine he takes a professional interest, but then seeing what you're using it for, he definitely stops. Not out of disdain.
Oh, Ayote?
Yeah, not out of disdain
I mean,
for
I'm
what you're
up
doing.
the top floor, so
Yeah,
probably, unless he's coming up there.
yeah.
Well, we did
he's
give him
staying
room
on,
in Arden's room, so he would have been
Okay.
near there. You
But
would have
yeah,
been
I
walking
imagine
by.
he sees you doing herbalism stuff, and he's like, "Oh, interesting." Then goes to have a look. It's like, "Oh, right, Walter White, gotcha."
Yeah, I've got sort of a
and-
narrow academic focus.
and he kind of steers clear. You never see him touch any alcohol, or Gale for that matter. But that one's obvious.
That's
But
fine.
yeah.
Some people are boring.
He has none.
Elishan would probably be spending time studying the book, even though we're not planning on doing anything. She's trying to study
Yeah.
things so that whenever we do get around to it, we do it. How did Byron put it? Well-informed stupidity versus just regular stupidity.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
she's gonna be trying
So,
to make them
yeah.
as well-informed as possible.
So insert my pretty dope description of what the book's about that I made up off the top of my head last session, which is basically the description of the endless void.
Mm-hmm.
So I know Byron's doing his illusions. Remy's Walter Whiting. He's Breaking Bad. Alishan is researching the book. What's Rose doing?
Probably watching the healer that's set up, kind of maybe, I don't know, taking some notes if possible about different herbs. Just kind of
And you can immediately tell that he is just one of those people who everyone kind of likes and they can't help it. He parents bring their ill children to him, and the child leaves feeling better and with a grin on their face. And Gale seems pretty somber most of the time and serious, but he is like constantly smiling when he's helping people. He just seems this really kind of likable, jovial sort of person. But you definitely get the impression that he has kind of trouble with things like self-control and that sort of thing. And your kind of immediate analysis is that Gale is like the perfect foil for all his failings. She sort of yin and yangs with him perfectly, and they seem to be able to work together to for the best outcome of everyone.
So yeah, it'll be kind of like one of those like things where I'm like trying not to be noticed, but like as times goes, I'm like moving like a little closer.
But I'm just curious how you do it. So
well, I mean, I think Rose is wise enough to know when someone knows a different way than her, then it's like, and the value of knowing that information and not necessarily being like, you're doing it wrong or
she doesn't let ego get in the way.
Yeah. So eventually she'll be like up there being like, oh, I never even thought of using that for.
Yeah, definitely. It's all very natural. Like someone will kind of tell him what's wrong, and he will immediately begin telling them, his theories and why he thinks it. But as he's doing that, you see him like immediately begin mixing up salves and pastes and drinks and teas, whatever it is that heals things. And it's like he's not even thinking about it. He knows herbs better than he knows anything else.
All right.
You think he's a pretty good addition to the keep, and morale seems to have lifted slightly because everyone's feeling better and less ill and staving off the cold and that sort of thing. So it's helpful.
Like Rose might run out of magic, but he's not going to run out of plants.
Yeah, pretty much. He's got like a year's worth supply in there. So
minus the perk set that Remy took.
Yeah, minus there's some kid with a migraine, and he's like, "God damn it, I'm out of my super high powered drugs." No, so yeah. Unless anyone has anything else, we're gonna skip ahead to the beginnings of war.
How much time has passed?
Giants.
How many brews can I make?
All the important things.
Remy, roll 2d6. As for the giants, they appear that evening.
It's a total of 6.
You make 6. The giants appear that evening. There are 8 of them, including Clouthy. They are all wearing huge suits of plate armor, and all carry various weapons. One of them carries a glaive that's like taller than the wall.
Oh, I remember some other things.
And they just kind of sit outside the walls and are sort of sleeping there and patrolling. They just kind of wait around outside. Not really doing much. Clouthy brings a huge cart of furs and meat, as is traditional. And Helga sort of prepares meals for them as much as she can. But they weren't expecting to be fed, so it's a nice sort of surprise for them, I guess.
So Bernard spent some time to make sure that the cure is still brewing. He has Rosa's words bouncing around in his head and not to focus on it, but that doesn't mean he can't stop doing it.
Yeah, it's still going.
He's still doing that in the background because the illusions don't take all of his time. And then with his newfound like magical powers and the vast months of practice of illusions, like he starts to manipulate the landscape itself. The illusions become tactile, real for all intents and purposes, bends reality to his will as he is casting Mirage on Arcane on like a daily basis to just manipulate the terrain around the keep to make it more difficult. for them to
That's
see
awesome.
some. But he does get a little. He's a little giddier. Odd for Byron when the giants are around. A little more excitable. I imagine there's like a scene where he's on top of the walls and like at kind of head height with the giants, or not even almost.
Yeah.
Some sort of conversation.
Yeah, Elishan would
With-
be up there too. She missed the giants last time because she was talking with Byron.
You remember that Claufi is like very jovial, very friendly, and is clearly the leader. And so he's happy to sort of speak with you and answer any questions and that sort of thing. Is there anything in particular Byron would say or Al would say?
Not that we really have to go into particular. Like he'd talk a little more animatedly, excitedly to him about various things about giant life. Make some notes and like talk about the battle in some ways and like what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like because they're outside the keep and he's transforming the land outside the
Yeah,
keep
definitely.
into stuff. So they might be amazed. So
So
and also there's Sage.
Yep.
To introduce
just crazy.
those two parties together, which Remy might be a part of or something. But it's just general chit chat that he'd spend
definitely.
time.
Yeah, Elishan's pretty much the same, other than like every once in a while it's interspersed with, wow, you're so big, and geez, you're tall. But I do have something specific that's not like giant related.
Oh, yeah.
Once we move on from that. Elishan's going to try and do ascending to her brother one of the days to see if she can get an answer, because it got cut off last time.
And he's also late.
Yes. Yeah, at this point he's late and he got cut off. And so the later he gets, the more worried she gets.
Yeah. And when your fears are affirmed when you try to do another sending, it doesn't connect.
Like no connection at
Either
all.
he's not on this plane or there's something suppressing the spell.
But he doesn't feel dead though, right?
You wouldn't know. Like
Just the spell fails.
yeah, the spell.
Yeah. She will keep trying that each day. Whenever it fails the first time, she's going to keep trying it, much as how she did. Well, I guess she wouldn't have done with Kidius, much like she would have tried to get someone else to do with Kidius whenever Kidius disappeared. But everyone always said that it didn't work, and now it's not working for her brother. And so there's, that anxiousness and tension.
Only because, now Al's chaos free, we have to fuck her up somewhere else.
Yeah. There's always got to be something.
So,
Do we want Heroes Feast before?
I mean, yeah.
How many have more than 4 days passed since Elishan was dead?
yes.
Okay.
Sort of.
Yes or no? Because it doesn't matter.
Day.
It's the fourth day?
Yeah, the battle's the 4th day.
So am I -1 or am I back to normal? Feeling
You have to
good?
complete 4 days?
We'll just say back to normal so that when you die again, it's not my fault.
Okay. It won't be because I was like, oh man, if it wasn't for that -1.
Exactly.
Sure.
You've completed how many long rests?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the question. So,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think
It's been 4 long rests.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't think the one on the ship afterward counted because, she didn't sleep afterwards. So.
So you rolled really well. So 18
Oh, damn.
Oh, dang.
hit points, yeah.
And I guess like Arthas and Crean and a couple other people get that as well, maybe. Vela.
All the boyfriends and girlfriends?
Yeah. Bring your +1s to Rose's party.
Mm-hmm.
Is Bark coming?
So it's the 4th day comes, and it's a sort of foggy morning, and everyone knows that today is the first day that they could arrive. The Allfanger have been watching them, and in that vein, Arthas comes flying into the keep, and
Like flying?
yeah, well, as a bird,
Oh, okay.
and kind of comes to find you all. I imagine you're all in the library, sort of going over plans and whatnot. And he sort of bursts in, and he says, "They're here. Couple hours, they'll be here."
Is there any sign of the Grateful Dead?
There is not yet.
The Eager Dead.
Eager
Oh,
Dead.
I'm sorry. Eager Dead.
Grateful Dead slightly different.
Easy to say.
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
She said it correctly.
Yeah, the Eager Dead are quite a bit further behind. It seems.
How long before they catch up?
Yeah, we sent messages in the preceding days.
Yeah,
see whether-
yeah. So it seems like they'll be there by tonight, maybe. But the enemy will be here in a couple hours.
And it's
So,
morning now.
Yeah, it's like first thing.
So there's like an 8-hour window that we'll have to beat them back, essentially.
Correct.
Okay, so we need to get civilians out of the village.
Yeah. That's priority number 1.
Is Hollister with us?
Hollister is.
Craig, send word down to the village that we gotta get everybody inside the keep now.
I'll do it myself.
Good
He
man.
says, and he just like takes off. Arthur sort of says, "I got to get my lot ready. We're prepared, but we got to get in position."
We'll see you on the field. Good luck.
And he sort of like nods to you. Sort of like has half a glance at Elishan, but
You
starts
better
leaving.
not leave without. And she kind of like does like the grabby hands motion.
And yeah, he stops, and she could tell that he was sort of like he didn't want to say goodbye or anything because he didn't want it to feel like he was, saying goodbye properly or whatever. But yeah, he'll just like turn and kind of embrace her and kiss her and just say, "Good luck. I'll
See you soon.
see you soon."
Yeah, don't die.
He nods.
How
Well, that was the sentiment, right?
Yes, that was the sentiment. Can you wait? Wait, she kind of
He's a
like
tough old bird, don't worry.
before he leaves, though, she's going to speak the words for Bari's white circle, the incantation, and say, Baramin Aramin, and places her hands over her heart and while looking up to the sky, so that she can cast the white magic circle. So everyone's got the +1 AC, and only it's temporary hit points, so I don't think that stacks.
No,
with
it
the hero's
doesn't.
piece.
No.
Okay, so everyone just has the +1
Yeah.
for 8
That's
hours.
the best part anyway.
But
He
she's
says-
doing that before Arthas leaves, in case he's not in
Yeah.
range later. So
and he just says that, "I love you," and it's off.
looks like Byron.
During her casting or something,
Yeah.
Byron is just going to like put a hand on his shoulder, like make himself known to him, and goes, "You know that we do not do this, do not ask this of you as payment for the cure. The cure comes freely from us, and I hope you defend us freely in
He
return."
nods. It's our home too.
Byron nods back at him. And he kind of like is going to say something, but then sort of thinks better of it and just kind of nods, trying to look reassuring, because he thinks whatever he's going to say is not going to be read in the right way, similar to Remy's. Like that's the sentiment, right?
Yeah. But he shifts back into a bird and speeds away, heading back to the forest.
I'm sorry. Is anybody else really excited for a good fight? I'm really excited.
I don't know about excited, but
Green's hand goes up.
I would just like to remind everyone, since Gaiad was kind of frightening last time, that we do have those amulets that Creed and I spent a lot of time working on. And she kind of like gives Creed like a big like grin, like, oh, little buddy, as she says it. And then I also have 4 of the protection from energy potions that are basically fire resistant. And
I'll take one of those.
cold and fire damage. And so she'll hand one to everybody.
Last for an hour.
Yeah, 8 hours actually.
Oh, wow.
And resistance to cold and fire damage, 8 hours. But there's only 4 of them, and so she'll hand them to Byron, Rose, and Remy, and keep one for herself.
What does the amulet do?
The amulet, as an action, you will gain advantage on fear saving throws for 1 minute.
Okay. Is that attunement?
No, it's just an amulet.
I'll take one if you got extras.
Yeah, I think, again, Crean made 4?
Yeah.
So 1 for each of us. Crean
This is
9.
impressive work, Creed.
Yeah, he was a lot of help.
Creed is very smart.
Yes, very smart.
No one would ever doubt it.
He just
And
grins
if they
all the
did, we'd
praise.
fucking stab him in the face, right?
He nods furiously.
And you said it does advantage on saving throws for a minute, right? Fear saving throws?
Yeah.
For specifically fear.
Fear saving throws. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, I keep looking at my notes, and I wrote them when I was very tired, and they're making me laugh. Kind of, the people begin to sort of move up into the keep, and there's the kind of collective holding breath before the battle, and then after maybe an hour or so later, you begin to hear the sounds of stomping footfalls from a great way away, it seems.
Are we still in the library?
I mean, this is like an hour later, so you're wherever you want to be.
Okay.
Remy's
Awesome.
like got a little spritzer spraying his herbs, just like, oh yeah, I can see the army.
Now, Remy would go to the front wall of the keep and stand so he can see what's coming at him.
And you see, you know, like once the armies finally come into view, they're wearing the silver and blue colors of Belen and marching as this perfectly well organized unit, or they would be if they weren't all wading through vetted swamps.
Yes.
And they all look haggard and tired, except the figure right at the back. He seems to be walking on top of the water and the mud. And Byron, he is still miles away at this point, and you could just sort of see it, magical binoculars or whatever, maybe scrying. But
He's got Minerva.
yeah, that's it.
How will I view?
You can see that he doesn't look like the illusion's affecting him. As though he can see the truth. The true, form of
Sure.
the land. But his soldiers do not have the same luxury, and they kind of trudge around and are just soaking wet, and they all look miserable and horrible.
Is this man Gaiad?
Yeah, it's Guide. And they kind of begin assembling around the keep. You see 40 score warriors set in battalions of 50 each. And then there's 5 extra battalions at the back of the army that have these huge bows that they're beginning to string, and everything is seemingly difficult for them. They're in this heavy, slow armor. They haven't got their wonder drug to speed them up, and they've had to trudge through miles and miles of swamp, and they all look kind of, their shoulders are slumped. But Gaiad is just screaming orders, and there's a kind of this big tent being erected at the back, and he just enters it, and you don't see him come out, but his armies just stand there, waiting and watching.
Byron, can you see Gaiad?
I believe he's retreated to the tent over there.
You think you can teleport us into that tent and we can kill him right there?
Is everyone on the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. He looks across at everyone. Unless
think,
he
like-
has something. Sorry?
Elishan just has like wide eyes whenever Remy says that.
Unless he has magical protection, that should be child's play. So we won't be behind enemy lines.
Well, you can teleport how many times a day?
3.
Once in, once out. Stay close. Don't get too far from each other. If it goes sour, we teleport back.
As you're speaking, you see this tiny, tiny, tiny little pygmy owl come and land on the battlements, cock its head, and just stare up at Elishan.
I stab it.
All right, never mind. Next encounter,
Aw.
you just killed Aspel.
Right? Bastard.
Yeah.
If it's a familiar or somebody polymorphed, they'll just bamf. So
Yeah.
It's neither of those things. It's an actual owl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elishan would twist the ring that's on her finger and use it to cast what is it? Speak with animals.
Yeah. And your mind immediately fills with the kind of ridiculous voice of Aspel. And you just hear,
Yes, yes. Wolfman. He says, ready when you are.
Okay, thank you, Aspel. That's very good. You did a good job. Can you show me where he is?
he sort of like cocks his head and blinks,
Elishan, that's a bird. It doesn't understand you.
and then takes off. And you see him just begin circling above the trees, kind of to the left of the armies. So he's sort of, or I guess to the north from where you're looking. So he is right. He is apparently really nearby all the enemy soldiers.
That makes Elishan nervous, but she'll point to the copse of trees out to the others and say the Arthas and presumably
Yeah,
the
it's
rest
like
of
an
the Ulfinger.
outcropping part of the forest.
Yeah, Arthas and presumably the rest of the Ulfinger are over there.
And you know that they're waiting for you to send word for them to attack.
Yes, and she'll relay that as well.
They're ready. Are the giants just like standing off?
They
And, like,
no.
still-
So
or
what I
have they come
imagine with the
inside the
giants
walls? So-
is you guys have them sitting on the far side of the keep.
Okay, right. For
So that they're sort of out of sight for now.
Can we take them, 2 of them with us when we teleport?
checks rules. I think it's like medium. I don't know.
Yeah, I
think
don't
it's just
you can
creatures.
I mean,
I mean,
creatures.
You were
No.
able.
Creatures.
Fucking hell.
I know
It takes 7 red dragons with me.
we would lose the element of surprise. Whichever giant comes with us may not make it out again.
Do you see evil giants on the other team suddenly come to you?
No, I mean, that's fair. I mean, as long as they stick close to us, I assume you could teleport them out like everybody else. But, you know, I'd feel better having 2 fucking giants behind me.
Make a point. If we were to go as ourselves, they may not realize until we spring our attack,
True.
the giants would alert them, and fighting Gaiad, and is there like 1,000 men arrayed against us?
There are.
Times like this, I
fucking-
wish I knew my numbers better.
Yeah. So do I. I wrote it.
40
Yeah.
score.
Says the accountant.
Yeah.
So that is,
40
isn't that
score.
40 times 40?
I
So
think that's no. A score is 20.
20? Okay.
Yeah, and
I
then
don't
We're
my
scoring
numbers.
20 years ago.
yeah, yeah. So it's 800, and then there is
Usually
another
about 5
5
more.
battalions at the back.
And
So-
the battalions are
So like 1,050 people.
Yeah, there's about
That's a lot of
1,000,
people.
just over 1,000 here.
And we've got 200 Eager Dead coming.
Something like that. There's a bit more than that.
A bit
But
more.
you've got a bunch of shit.
No, I mean, I think we'll be all right. But
I mean, there's the dwarf statues and the
Yeah, the
catapult
catapult
column.
golem, sage, all these
Okay,
NPCs. You guys are fine. Maybe.
Maybe.
So
Do we
What
have
do you
any one-hit TKOs we can put on Gaiad, like a spell to trap him in a mind maze, or I don't know, turn him into a frog or something? I don't know.
no. I think Byron or Rose probably have the biggest thing. I could hurt his head a whole lot, and I know that doesn't sound like much, but if I manage to get it off, it would make anything he does afterwards a lot more difficult. But
Well, hopefully we're getting the drop on him, so we get first attack on him.
yes, but if he saves or has some sort of resistance that seems somehow legendary, it would be a waste.
True.
legends have told of his resistance to various things.
His constitution is well known.
He
Well-
has a strong fortitude.
If we think he can fight us off for longer than a few seconds, might not be worth it to teleport in there just yet. Because if he survives long enough for any backup to come, we'll just be wasting our resources when we could wait for him to waste his.
I agree. I don't think teleporting is the best plan.
At least not yet.
So what is your plan?
To ask him nicely to leave.
It's a solid plan.
Well, standard siege procedure is to launch the artillery. Is he out of range of our archers? And do we have any cannons? Well, not cannon, catapults.
They are out of range of your archers, but they are just within range of the golem.
Well, fucking launch some rocks at him. Jesus.
Yeah.
Golem, yeah, the golem kind of turns into a catapult form, and just a couple guards just load a giant, some giant rocks into them. Maybe you've had the giants collecting pebbles, and so there's all these rocks, and it just fires up, and you just see the rock in midair. Just a fireball comes up to meet it from one of the battalions behind, and you see that they've got a whole bunch of wizards, and it just blasts the fireball or the rock out the way, and it just falls as like harmless pebbles.
Take note, this is precedence now, Dan. You can use Fireball as a reaction to blow up flying rocks.
That is true. I'll allow it.
Okay.
I mean, it was a catapult shot. It probably took more than 6 seconds, so it probably wasn't a reaction and more as a, like, oh, it's gonna take a turn to get there.
Whatever.
Can Byron look watching all the formations and the wizards reacting, whoever reacts? Because I imagine it wasn't just one wizard who did that. Like, can he estimate how many wizards? Is there like one per battalion, or
There's 50
50 wizards in total?
in one. There's one battalion. It's just wizards.
Oh, there is 50 in a single wizard battalion. Okay. Are they relatively central to the line?
I mean, because I have silence. I can silence them.
probably out of range.
Fuck them up
Yeah.
good.
Probably. But, if they get in range, I could silence them.
Speaking of
Well,
which,
do we have more rocks? Because we should fucking shoot them.
yeah. So more rocks keep firing.
Yeah, just nonstop barrage until we tell them to stop.
If nothing else, we'll waste some of their
Slots,
spell
yeah.
slots.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a matter of who burns through their resources first.
Yeah. And so as this is happening, there's a horn blast from the tent, or from a man standing outside the tent, and the infantry begin to slowly crawl their way through the muck towards the keep. Clearly the order to attack has been given, as they move in like perfect unison. I'm talking like elves from the Hobbit movies. Like, they are just perfectly marching. But occasionally a couple stumble in the horrible stank swamp.
How many? So their infantry is advancing. How many are staying in the rear?
All the archers and the wizards, so 5 battalions. And Bazrag is holding the order for his archers to begin firing. And he's kind of standing like next to you, like with his fist out, like waiting for you guys to say fire.
Well, when they're in range, they should unload.
Yeah.
Keep the catapults firing on the archers and the wizards.
Yes. So the catapults keep firing, and he gives the order, and just volleys of arrows come flying over, and people fall, and then several fall, and they've all got shields that they're holding up above them, but every so often one of them falls, and they just begin firing volley after volley. But the infantry continues inexorably towards the wall, and you see now that they're carrying ladders down the battalions, and they kind of hug against the wall and begin slowly raising the ladders.
Remember, they take longer to get, like twice as long to get through, so they should.
This is taking ages. So you guys can describe anything you want to do during this time.
Whenever one battalion gets kind of close to like the central gates or whatever with like their ladders and stuff, Elishan's going to start playing on her lyre as just kind of like plucking a nice little tune, and she's going to attempt to do what she did to them last time they tried this, and she's going to cast Hypnotic Pattern on the guys that are trying to come up around the gate. And so that's going to be every single creature in a 30-foot cube in that range will be making a wisdom saving throw.
Shit. Okay, here's what I'll do. I'm just going to roll a percentile, and that's how many, like whatever percentage I roll is how many get affected. Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to roll 50 saving throws.
No, I don't blame you.
Oh, fucking shit. 88,
Double zeros.
88%.
Oh, 88. Nice.
Yeah, so we'll just say 45 to kind of make it 90. So you see all but 5 of this battalion just stop dead and are sort of dazed and become like, their minds sort of go elsewhere, it seems. And the other 5 just sort of look around very confused.
Da, 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 da.
And how many battalions did they have? Sorry, the infantry that were marching on us. Was it like 20 or something?
I actually didn't. Yeah, I didn't actually work out. There's the battalions at 8, so there's 16 battalions marching towards you,
and one of them has been stopped by it.
And one of them has been stopped.
Okay.
But some of these battalions don't have their full complement of men because they've fallen as they're marching towards us, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. So most of them have like 1 or 2, or not 1 or 2, sorry, like 5 or 6 maybe, lying in the fetid swamp that's slowly kind of beginning to turn red in certain areas.
How many? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do you want to go?
No, go ahead.
Now, with Mirage Arcane, I can construct structures. I'm just looking. Yeah, similarly, you can alter the appearance of structures to add add them where none are present. So when they get like to within sort of a ladder or just before a ladder amount of the walls, what I'm going to do is raise out of the swamp an extra. This might not affect all of them. It's a mile square, so it's a reasonable amount of battlefield. But I raised like another wall, like 10 feet or more beyond our wall,
Right.
and just like block them off. So, like if they were to put the ladders down, like they would never even reach our walls.
Definitely. And so, like, a lot of them kind of see this rise up, and
you might cut some of them off or something.
Yeah, you see stunned faces, and a few of them maybe, like you say, get cut off. But then there's another sort of horn blast, and Gaiad steps out of the tent and begins like screaming orders at them. And like it stops them for maybe like 10-15 minutes, but they slowly then begin to walk around it. But they look like blind men, like their eyes are deceiving them, almost thing. But they've been told something different to what they're seeing.
Okay, so they're trying to navigate around that wall.
They are, but
it is delaying them. Fair enough.
And they're having much difficulty with it. And so I'll say like a lot more of them are being picked off by the archers, because they're sort of, stopping and confused.
How many men are currently arming the wall right now? Manning the wall?
I think it's about 50 soldiers. Because most of them are archers, but there's some up there for when the ladders do finally come up.
Remy is going to activate the Sword of Feast and Famine, shit to gas munch, and he's going to basically just kind of look. He's going to stand at the highest point he can and look for, like, sort of along the battlements, and he's looking for the place where the first ladder is touching down, and he's going to just dash to it first chance he gets.
What's everyone else doing?
Should we signal to the giants, to the Elfhanger? Or are we holding them?
Not yet.
Okay.
Byron turns to Rose and says, "You can speak the word of the gods with thaumaturgy, or with your magics. You can speak loudly to all. You could give them warning. You could give them pause. Perhaps they could reconsider. They've seen some of the powers that we can give, a fraction of what we have to give, and maybe they will falter."
Sure, I mean, I can certainly try. And Rose will step to a place on the battlements where she can be seen. We are not your enemies. You're being forced forward by a man who does not care if you live or die. This is a place of refugees, a place where all are welcome to form a better life, no matter your past transgressions. What you're being asked to do is against the word of the Lord Lathander. I ask you all to throw down your weapons. Those of you who do will find sanctuary in our city.
Elishon is gonna minor illusion, like a halo of like a golden nimbus of light, like behind Rose as she speaks.
So
I presume her words are echoing across the battlefield with
Yeah.
thaumaturgy, like super loud.
And there's this moment where everyone sort of like looks up, and sort of you can see like a few people, like their grip loosens on the weapons, but then there's this great like roar from the tent. Gaia just screams, and his voice is magically amplified too, and it is just as loud, if not louder. And almost all of them begin to sort of double down and continue on the current path.
Is he saying words or just screaming?
That one was just a straight up scream before he's been saying words.
Okay.
Alishon's gonna scream out, it's like, God, you coward, why don't you face us on your own?
He just stands watching, his arms crossed as he just ignores you.
How are the mages doing against the catapults?
Fine. They've got a system worked out, so it's always someone's turn to do it, sort of thing. So it's quite effective.
There's hundreds of mages, so that means thousands of spell slots.
Right.
It's a matter of who has spell slots or rocks.
Yeah. I mean, but it takes a while to fire the catapult, then bring it back down, then load it up, then fire it. So it's
so we have one catapult.
Yeah, it's the golem.
Okay, gotcha.
Those aren't fireballs coming our way, so
no. But Remy, you do see the first ladder smash up against the wall.
Remy's gonna kind of just grab his bottle of Ajmani / I forget what the term you used for the weed that you had. I got silver weed. The stuff that's a painkiller. I don't know what you called it.
Okay. So the painkiller was sil root, but that was not the one you got. That's just like the standard paracetamol.
Okay.
You can make something up. I didn't have a name for
silverweed.
Silverweed, perfect.
Because I wrote it down already.
Yeah.
So it's basically a distillation of Ajmani pipeweed and silverweed. So my goal was to make something that would give you like laser focus and mental acuity, but like deep muscle relaxation. So it's like to induce a flow state.
Yeah, damn.
So I mean I can roll for like a nature check to see if it works, but it's just a role playing. So yeah, Remy's just gonna chug his new brew of moonshine and crash it on the ground and dash off with his sword, blazing black, miasma behind it. And the first guy that comes up on the ladder is just gonna try to take his head off.
Yeah, so it's this really young guy. It looks like, he can't be more than like 17, and his armor doesn't really fit properly, and you just come crashing into him.
Oh my god, my dice dropped. So that's actually not a great roll for Remy. That's a 22.
22 hits, yeah.
Okay.
These are standard mooks.
I just kind of want to see how much damage it takes to kill one of these guys. Probably not much. 9, 10, 11, 18 points of damage.
He dies. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this a much more cinematic affair, because I do not want to basically...
One down out of 1,050.
Yeah, exactly.
So what we're going to do is we're going to use HP pools for each battalion. So basically deal your damage, then describe yourself killing a few people or whatever it might be.
Sure.
Just go cinematic with it. We're not that worried about making everything.
So as a block, then Remy and a few guys are fighting the first people up over the wall.
Right. And
do I roll all my attacks and give you a total for damage?
Just do that.
Okay. So the first one was 18. And I'll roll my other attacks for the Sword of Feast and Famine. Natural 20 and a 23. So I assume the AC for these guys is like a 15.
Yeah. Well, it's 18, I think.
18. Okay. Another hit for the offhand weapon. Let's get the dice roller. That's going to be 48 and 66 and 44 with a modifier of +7 +7. Oh no, so +21 and +6. That's the one.
I remember there's all those illusionary soldiers everywhere and making it look
true.
And they're just like swinging at the air, and like all the enemies are blocking them, and then like looking really confused as to why they're not getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be Jesus. Sorry, 50. 80, 72. It's like 84 points of damage.
God damn.
So yeah, basically he runs down. He's kind of like stepping, like not on the battlement itself, but on like the narrow blocks that make up. I don't know what it's called, like the rampart or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the actual partition. And he's just running along those stones and like chopping people's heads off and running through people through as they come up, taking off hands and watching people fall, and like shouting to get the soldiers that are there next to him fighting.
So at this point, there's like quite a few that have come up onto the wall, and so yeah, people are just cutting through them.
So I think as like the ladders are going up, we then trigger the sage and the giants to crash into them as they're busy.
Is that what you want to do?
My thought is to wait till the last moment, essentially, when it seems like they're about to overwhelm us. Like because we want to keep the giants as fresh as possible for as long as we can hold these guys.
Okay.
Because we've got so many dudes, and if we just send, like, I don't know how many giants and how many druids we have, but if we just send them out now, there's a higher chance.
You know that.
Yeah, 8 giants is not going to do a whole lot against 1,000 guys in the field.
I mean,
I'm just thinking, like,
wall, right?
We have like what 100 guys or more like protecting our walls. We're gonna get swamped pretty quickly. So I was just thinking, as soon as they have like when they're climbing the ladders.
Well, the walls are not that long, right? We've got enough men to man every inch of the wall, right?
Pretty much, especially.
I don't know how many men it is per square feet or whatever, but
yeah.
Okay.
I kind of assume this will be like a quick little question. I kind of assume that we've got like boulders and big old piles of rubble, like big old honking things on our side of the walls or whatever.
Yeah.
If there is a ladder that has a goodly amount of dudes on it, is there
definitely
a goodly amount of dudes?
A goodly amount. Elishan yeah. Well, Elishan, I mean, I'm trying to do a thing, Dan. But Elishan's going to like pluck like a little song on her lyre, and she's going to use it to cast levitate on one of the big boulders. She's going to float it up over one of the ladders and then drop the spell down.
The satisfying scream and crunch as a bunch of people just get like mashed. The other thing that happens is the 4 stone dwarves. I imagine Byron's holding the wand.
Yeah.
The road. Them finding people who are hostile to Byron all leap off of the walls down and just begin carving through the battalions, just in big sweeping arcs, just smashing people aside, fucking Sauron style, and just like begin absolutely just crushing and stomping and swinging, just like, they sense hostiles, so they kill the hostiles. You see Willow is like firing with pinpoint accuracy, her crossbow, and Bazrag is sort of like standing next to her, guarding her, fighting off people who come too close. Vela, you see, is just like spin kicking people off the wall. Like they'll come near and she just is able to kind of punch, kick, and throw them, and they just all end up kind of stumbling back. You see Kiryonti is he's right on the other side of the wall with Bjord and some of the other soldiers, and he is just, every single time his sword cuts, there's this flash of golden light, and Bjord is just like hurling like balls of floating rock and just sending people absolutely flying off the wall. You see Silpha, he is just like kind of hurling bolts of black ice that are like partially freezing people and causing them to stumble back and crack. You see Micah is also on the wall, and his spear is just hurling lightning and zapping people trying to come up a ladder. And there's Helga surrounded by earth elementals, tiny little earth elementals that are all firing. Arden's up on the wall just firing arrows again with that kind of pinpoint accuracy. Frakal is on the wall, and he has this huge two-handed hammer that he's just like denting and ruining people with, just smashing into their armor. You see Forkin, who is right next to Remy, and he is just spinning and cutting people as though it bored him. Like he is just so fast and dexterous. Even though he's this huge, bulky man, he's just so quick. You see Gale and Aod are sort of standing a bit further back, but you're seeing these huge arcing bolts of just pink light like flying out of Aod at furious speed and just crashing into soldiers up on the wall. And they're not on the wall, they're a little bit further back, but Gale is like standing and killing any stragglers who get too near. And she's just got this huge sword that she's just slicing through people with in one go. And like every cut, you see just her muscles tense, and the amount of power that she can get behind a swing is ridiculous. I don't think we're going to bother with initiative for this fight, and that's not bothering. It's actively not doing it because it doesn't really make sense. Because this is going to be a sort of constantly moving, swirling affair. Going in a rigid turn order doesn't happen. So I'm just going to be calling on people in reactions to things happening, and we'll say you take your turn when I say it. Just it helps me keep track of things and makes it a bit more sense.
That's fine.
You also see, looking down, you see Craig, like he's pulling through and helping people and moving them out to safety, but his skin appears to be made of molten iron. That's kind of shifting, and he looks pretty much impervious to damage as he's like helping this woman and her child and like ushering them on.
Did he take a potion of invulnerability?
Something like that. You know that he doesn't have any magic himself.
Yeah.
So, Byron, what are you doing?
I mean, so he'll be manipulating his variety of illusions, making them move and shift and distract people.
Playing like whack-a-mole.
Yeah, effectively. And I don't know if we're still quite near Remy or
Sure.
as a group, but Remy is Byron is like, they are truly committed. We should bring the giants and the Oldfanger in now, have them strike the archers, the mages from the back. I'm beginning to think that Remy's plan of moving for Gaiad, like, has he noticed the magical control that Gaiad has over these troops? Because there's been at least twice now that
there is definitely a magical control.
I'd hope these soldiers
necessarily like mind control. Yeah, it's not necessarily like mind control, but it's like he's magically terrified them into following him unwaveringly.
I'd hoped we would break these soldiers with their show of power, and like he looks down as he says that, you know, it's a dwarven statue like cleave through 10 people or something below him, but this won't do. We have to take it to the Gaiad, and he's like aiming to gather people to make that teleport move.
Are you calling out the giants and the Oldfanger, or are you leaving them?
Byron Byron like is going to shout someone to call them out. Unless someone wants to stop him. He's having a shouted conversation in the middle of combat.
So I'll say this is you shout that, and one of the younger soldiers turns and runs towards the horn that is usually used to announce arrivals and that sort of thing. And so he's getting there, so if anyone wants to do anything before he gets there and stop him, then they can. But if not, it's going to happen.
Elishan trusts Byron's judgment, so no. Byron will say, we need to take this fight to Gaiad, and he calls for someone to call for the Allfinger, and so she'll just kind of look at him and ask, do you want Arthas leading them, or do you want Arthas here with us?
Arthas's current plan is to fight with them, but if you want to change it,
that she's asking Byron.
Presuming you like fought closer or something to me at that point, like Byron like looks to you and goes, wherever you can cope with him being.
I feel like I missed something really cool.
Byron just got a critical hit on my heart.
Because Byron doesn't want to be the one to go, yes, Arthur's come with us, and then he dies in front of you. Like, he's already envisioned everyone dying before this. Like, it may even be safe for him leading the battalion, but he doesn't know which one is the safest. So he's not having that, you putting that on him kind of thing. I know that wasn't your intention, but Byron's already, like, so many steps ahead. He says, wherever you can cope with him being. And he's...
Oh, man. Because she was just thinking, like, Arthas is awesome. Arthas has healing. Arthas will help us in this fight. And then, like, yeah, you're like, that will just kind of... Dagger.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, she'll just kind of stare slack-jawed for a moment and fall silent.
Is anyone else going to try and interrupt the guy blowing the horn?
No.
Wait, what's going on?
Okay, so my turn came round in this, and I said, I basically agreed with you that we should take this to Gaiad because I'd hoped the troops would break, but they're magically controlled by him in some way. So we should call in the Allfanger and the Giants, and
Can we get them both to attack the mages?
Yes, that was my suggestion, that they should
That's
attack
good,
the archers and the mages and such, and we teleport in, and then Elishan asked, where do you want Arthas? And it's like, wherever you could go with them
The Allfanger should take out the mages because they have magic of their own.
Yeah, basically, Elishan asked, do you want Arthas in the fight with us and Gaiad, or do you want him leading the Allfanger? Yeah.
And Byron took a shot on your heart.
Yeah, Byron took a big old shit.
He certainly didn't make it that way.
No. I know he didn't mean it that way, but it was a thought that Elishan was not, her intelligence score isn't high enough to have had that thought, and now that she's had it, it's hurt a lot.
Amazing.
Well, if Remy sees Elishan with that look on her face, he'll say,
He's in the fight now. Send him in.
and then when we're ready, I guess.
So the horn blast goes up, and it is immediately answered by, at first, the howl of a wolf, and then this cacophony of animal noises, unlike anything you've ever heard. And you see crashing out of the undergrowth. The first thing you see is a tiny sparrow flying along that you would all recognize at this point is Arthas in his bird form. And he just flies up and then turns into his, full-on massive wolf and kind of lands among the first battalion that he sees, which is archers. Behind him, you see hundreds of people leave the forest. The first is about a group of about 50, and none of them are human because all of them are shifters of some kind. You see werebulls, like giant minotaurs, just charging forward with their horns down. You see a werebat circling overhead and swooping down to scratch at the archers. You see rats, tigers, hyenas, boars, bears. You see a goat. You even see one that looks like a giant humanoid elk with a massive antlers that just goes careening into the enemies. Behind them, you see hundreds of warriors wielding swords and bows and axes, and they just charge down at the archers with an almighty human scream. And behind them are about 50 wolves, just normal wolves, who come charging out alongside the Allfanger, all bearing down on the archers and mages. They take heavy losses initially as the arrows of the archers and the spells of the mages hit them from a distance. But once they reach them, there is no contest. The Allfanger sweep through and decimate their number very quickly. At the same time, the ground shakes as these huge giants come lumbering round the side of the keep, and their weapons just scraping across the floor in much the same way as the dwarf golems, and just smashing and crashing down on all of the enemies, and all the soldiers kind of still waiting at the bottom of the ladder. You see Gaiad turn and begin sprinting towards the Allfanger, and immediately begins just killing willy-nilly with ease.
Now's the time. Let's go get him.
Okay. Byron is like waiting for people to gather, and in that split second, he turns to Rose and goes, "Does Willow stay? Or does Willow go?"
She stays.
And there's like no look of judgment, nothing. He just nods, and everyone is like there by that time.
Silver dashes up to you
Okay.
and says, "I'm coming."
I imagine Crean is there, and Vela is there.
Crean's there.
And they disappear, and poof, they get like basically hurled into
And right on top of Gaiad is the idea,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. So
like a hurl of
around you,
animal people and
the battle just erupts. Suddenly you're in the midst of the sound, and you see just these insane half animal creatures just smashing through and killing willy-nilly. And you see Gaiad, and he's hunched over. His arms are like dripping fire, and he has these long claws, and he just turns to stare at you. And he just growls. "So," takes a step forward. "It begins." And his voice is like completely different to the sort of strange or the sort of well brought up kind of court drone that you know. And now he's got this weird kind of deep multi-layered voice. And
Remy calls over and says,
Get over here and die, you flaming bed of shit.
and you see him take this deep breath, and his eyes close.
Elishan casts silence on him.
nice.
Okay. He casts silence on him. Doesn't change what's going to happen, I'm afraid.
I mean, that's okay. I just don't want to hear him talk.
I can't monologue now. You will die because you have got.
He's going to explain why he's going to lower you slowly into a group of sharks.
Yeah, she's gonna hit his mute button.
Yeah. So he takes this deep breath that suddenly becomes silent. And you see the dripping fire on his arms spread up to his shoulders and his face and his whole body. And he suddenly like doubles over and falls to his hands and knees. And his body begins to contort and stretch and grow and grow and grow. And you all have to step back, and the like battle kind of shifts and moves around him. And everyone, enemies and foe and friends alike, are running away as the form of an enormous dragon spreads out from Gaiad's human from his human state. And you see now this enormous, in fact, in D&D terms, it's gargantuan dragon that has that his body seems to be made of black rock and dripping magma, and hissing, spitting, burning.
30-foot long magma dragon.
Yeah.
This is where I should point out that Elishan quaffed her resistance potion like ages
Very
ago.
well.
Remy does that as well.
Yeah, I was going to mention that
Salute.
people had time to prepare whatever because I was going to use mirror
100%.
image.
He starts monologuing. We pop a top off the potion.
Yeah.
Clink.
And he takes a step forward, and you hear that the sort of fire burning within him. You all immediately, you feel your skin begin to blister as you get close to him. That's how hot his body is. And well, that's where we're going to end the session.
What?
No, keep going.
No.
No.
I'm afraid I'm afraid I cannot keep going.
No.
Oh no.
And
Robert.
so
Breaking
Why?
my heart, man. I was settled in for the next 3 hours.
Yeah, me
Well,
too.
I was too, but I have to work in the morning, and I didn't realize. So I came up with this genius cliffhanger instead.